Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such up. He's not on second.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dixième LeMans, sponsored by Twisty Racing Team. And yes, this is indeed a Friday night with triple bypass. So what does that mean? It means it's a road course, and I'm sure you can tell by the horrible French accent coming out of my mouth that it is indeed Le Mans. If you couldn't tell by the track map or anything else up there, it's the 8.42 miles of Le Mans. And the Dixième means 1/10 in French, if you did not know such a thing. And now you do, but here we go. My name is going to be Bradley Dalton here, and I will be joined in the booth by Michael David. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the fun that's going on. We've got the fun qualifying session underway, and for us, that brings a lot of excitement. And of course, when we talk about excitement, we got to talk about the sponsor. The sponsors are Twisty Bits Racing. And if you're wondering who is part of Twisty Bits Racing, well, it is none other than Steve McLendon and Keaton Cruthers. And of course, Steve McLendon is here. Steve McLendon is running around and doing his thing. Let's get this overlay off so you can see what's going on. There's Steve McLendon in the Audi, who is running around doing his thing. And then, of course, Keaton Cruthers, who I do not see on the timing tower at the moment. 11 cars so far in, and of course we are going through qualifying with about 3 minutes, 45 seconds to go. Of course, it's the GTP and GT3s. GTPs are running about 3.5 minute laps. The GT3s are running anywhere between 4 minutes to, well, Rick White ran on 4:13, but it looks like he had a not so great lap there. So it looks like that is where things stand. But that's enough of me droning on. Let's bring in Michael. Michael, good evening, my friend. Welcome in to road racing in triple bypass.
Yeah, this is going to be my first foray in road racing for triple bypass. Glad to be here. I know James couldn't make it tonight, so I'm filling in for him. Unfortunately for all of us, we don't get to hear his British French accent. I was actually kind of hoping to hear that at some point, so I'm a little bummed about that. But being bummed about that does not mean that I'm not excited about this race. I absolutely love GT3 racing. I am very excited to see the GTP cars out here, and I'm just stoked to see some of these oval guys that I know from some of the other triple bypass nights out here in GT3 cars and GTP cars. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm ready to get going.
And this is going to be a really, really fun race. And if you're not familiar with Le Mans, it is the oldest endurance racing that exists. There's been 92 editions of the 24-hour of Le Mans, starting all the way back in 1923, which technically means that this is a 101-year-old race. This is This is a good one. Of course, they didn't run some of the racing during World War II, but Le Mans is awesome. You've got Indianapolis, you've got the Mulsanne Straight, you've got Arnage, you've got the Corvette, the Porsche curves, the Ford chicanes. We'll talk about the Corvette and the Ford chicanes here in a little bit. The Dunlop curve, the Tetra Rouge, which you must talk about. So we'll go through here in just a little bit. We'll talk about some of the different things while the scenes go through. It does look like Rick Waite is still registering on track for me. I'm trying to see if I can figure out where he's at here. I'm not actually getting him, but of course, the infamous double chicane there then starts the run of Le Mans, and that is, of course, going to be through the Ford chicanes. And we're waiting on another minute and 20 seconds of qualifying here, Michael. What's your experience with Le Mans? Is this a track that you know a lot about?
Actually, a track that I have learned a lot about recently. I am honestly, I haven't really run it too many times, but last week during week 13, when I was attempting to destroy my I rating and my safety rating at the same time, I did run it a couple times. So it was pretty nice. I liked it. I really enjoy the history here. It's not a track that I'd necessarily say that I was comfortable at, but I was in the low 4 minutes, so not too far off, I guess you could say. So yeah, I think I got a good idea of this track. Now, that being said, I don't really do too much endurance racing, so this is going to be exciting for me. I generally stick to the 40-minute races, the shorter, the mistakes that I make only, happen every now and then, so I don't have to worry about the 2.5-hour races. This is going to be exciting for me. So we see Rick Waite coming through here. About 20 seconds left. He's going to just barely make it as he comes through. I believe these are the Corvette curves you were talking about. And just to throw it out there, we do have one of the new Corvettes and one of the new Ford Mustangs out there in this race tonight.
Yeah, those are going to be cars that we focus on. And I see it's Ben Harkham and Tyler Merritt. They are going to get a lot of screen time today. The field is split with 7 GT3s and 4 GTPs. And I'm very interested to see who comes out on top in GTPs. And we'll talk about why I'm excited for such a thing here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and pull up our grid and talk our way through these 11 cars. And as we look at the grid here, it is Keaton Cruthers who is up on pole position there in Team Keaton Cruthers. TK Motorsport, which is Aiden Amaro, is up in second place. Boopers United Racing, which is Ryan Hyatt. Of course, he has the Corgi race, and then he's Boopers United. Why would he not be? Twisty Bits Racing in P4 there, with the wonderful Anthony Sperazza. Steve McLendon is going to run out the GT3s. Actually, sorry, the board that I have here is slightly out of sync with what I'm reading off of. So, Twisty Bits Racing, of course, is Steve McLendon there, who is going to be leading out the GT3s. Dominate 2 is Michael Caffery, and then Ben Harkham, Tyler Merritt, Brian Waldson, Rick Waite, Mark Herzog, and Team Mark Herzog, of course, and then Spaz Motorsports, which is Anthony Sperazza, who did not set a time there in the GTPs. Now, let's talk about manufacturers for a second, because this is where things tend to get heated in the world of the tracks. Now, here's what I will ask. What is your preferred car in the GTPs?
Well, I think that I would have to go with the Acura, just simply because it's a little bit more loose. It tends to be a little more oversteery. The way that I like to drive, I like to have a loose rear end. The Cadillac, while it sounds awesome, it looks phenomenal. It is more balanced setup, a little bit towards the the oversteery side of things. So it's a little more friendly to a beginner. So I think I would have to jump in the Acura. Not saying that I'm any good. I love doing donuts not on purpose, but I just feel like the Acura just has that little bit of edge, being a little bit more slippery around the back end to rotate that car.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Cadillac, because the Cadillac is the first car that I ever drove. So it is the one that I know and love.
I don't think I've ever driven the Cadillac. I do know a little bit about the Acura, not too much, but a little bit. But then again, I like loose rear ends, so that's just kind of my preference. It does help with rotation, but I mean, it puts me in the wall quite a bit. So there's a reason I'm up here in the booth and not out there on track.
Yeah, we talked about this before the race started, that there's a reason I'm here and where I'm at. So, I very much must agree with you on that. The cars are coming around their condensed pace lap here. You've got the GT3s and the GTPs separated. There are your GTPs leading out behind the safety car. Again, 4 of them. I see a Bluey livery existing there. Is that Ryan Hyatt running the Bluey livery? It surely is. Keaton Cruthers up there in the Lamborghini painted Cadillac, which I'm slightly judging, but, you know, do your thing there. And then Aiden is the only one in the Acura. All the other GTPs are Cadillacs. And, of course, the GT3s, you got an Acura or an Audi. You've got a Mercedes. You've got a Ford, a Corvette, and 3 BMWs to run it through. But as they come out of the Porsche curves down into the Ford curves, and with Anthony Sperazza blinking more than I blink my eyeballs trying to wake up in the morning when my cats wake me up playing, we're going to come around and they are going to get things started here for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. And as we get around here, they come around the final Ford chicanes. There's the pace car with a weird peel off. That's not how you enter the pit lane, but I'm not judging. And now we go through. Green is called, and we are going to be underway with Keaton Cruthers, Aiden Amaro, Anthony Sperazza, and Ryan Hyatt leading off our GTP field. And then as we jump back, GT3s are now underway. Look at the ramp of the sausage curve there. That is going to be from the Mercedes of Michael Caffrey. But as we get underway, we are underway now officially for this 2.4 hours of Le Mans, and we will go through. Let's jump back up with the GTPs because Aiden is putting on a challenge here on Keaton as they go down the inside. Remember, this is 2.4 hours. This is a long race, but these guys are going to be looking to get a jump early as it stands. Aiden up in the lead now against Keaton Cruthers. We'll see how that stands in the long run, and I will not be surprised if they continue to keep things moving and grooving there on that side. Looking back into the GT3s, you have McLendon, Cafferty, Merritt, Harcum, Waite, and Wildson. Looks like Herzog has already dropped out, but back at the back, it is McLendon there who is in the lead with Cafferty there in P2. So good starts early on from everybody.
Yeah, nice and clean start there up front for the GTPs and also for the GT3s. We saw a little bit of action coming through the chicane, but a very nice clean start there. McLendon out in a monstrous lead in the Audi. We got Michael McCaffrey following suit, not too far behind there. It's early on in a 2.5-hour race, like you said. So you don't want to do too much too quick on this, especially on this first opening lap. They do get a little bit of a warm-up lap there, but these tires are still going to be a little bit cold. The draft is going to be huge down the Mulsanne Straight. That's going to be extremely important tonight. So you kind of want, if you're McLendon, Stephen McLendon, you kind of want to stretch this field out as much as possible because Michael McCaffrey right now is taking as much advantage of that draft as you possibly can. Coming down into the second of the chicanes down the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, this is going to be really where we kind of have to watch because the slipstream is huge around Le Mans, especially down the Mulsanne Straight, as you said. And it looks like something has happened that in fourth place there of the GTPs. I do have something has happened to Anthony Sperazza. I'm not sure if it's maybe still just a minor connection issue. We'll check on it here in just a moment as we ride on board with Michael Cafferty and the GT3s, who is continually trying to chase here. Let's jump back up front, though, because Keaton Cruthers is just a couple of tenths, half a second off the gap here of Aiden Amaro in the GTPs. And again, these are long laps. These are 3.5-minute laps. You've got to just stay nice and calm early on. You really don't want to let the leaders get away. If you're Ryan Hyatt, you're 3.3 seconds back and we're not even through lap 1. You need to try to reel them in a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to lose too much time, but it's not exactly a sprint race here. So maybe Ryan Hyatt's just kind of pacing himself out, getting to the feel of that Bluey car. You know, these Cadillacs are pretty strong, but if you're Aiden Amaro, you got to be careful here because you're still technically on cold tires. He goes wide there, and we see the Corvette of Tyler Merritt spinning around, so maybe we'll get a replay of that, but we have the leaders out front almost side by side coming into the chicanes.
Yeah, it looks like a NASCAR F1 has taken over the broadcast here on JP Broadcasting Network to show you some of the action and just, cut away from the most intense moments. You don't need to see the passes, let's be honest. You already know what's happened. But as the field spreads out, it's now 1.2 seconds as we head down through the Dunlop curves and under the Dunlop Bridge early on here. So lap 1 underway, 2 hours, 21 minutes left to go. We've lost Merritt. Herzog did not take the race start. And what did we do to lose Tyler Merritt? Well, let's jump back and see here. And this is him coming through Indianapolis. And this is a little wide. The car snaps right, comes back left, straight into that inside guardrail. And it looks like he gets it back going. But then something else happens. You see the burnouts. You see he's going. You see the front bumper damage. And then the car just completely snaps around on him here. He comes through the next corner. And the car goes again. And that is all she wrote. So that is what's happened with Tyler Merritt. Tyler Merritt with 2 hours, 20 minutes to go. Will not have 2 hours and 20 minutes of running to go. So we are down to 5 GT3s and 4 GTPs after just one lap.
Yeah, well, this is definitely a tough course. This is not the easiest place to come. I always think about LeMans and the Nürburgring, the North left at least. It's the two toughest tracks to really wrap your head around. They're just so big, so long, but each corner is just so intricate. It's hard to remember where your braking points are everywhere. I've got a little bit of experience in the Mustang and the Corvette. Not too much, obviously. They both just came out. Honestly, I really like the way the Corvette drives once you get it warmed up, but it is very fragile on the opening couple laps. So we see the Michael Caffrey there in the Mercedes GT3 just not letting Stephen McLendon get too far away from him in that Audi. Two different distinct driving styles for both of these cars. You have the rear engine or the mid-engine Audi, and then you have the front engine sports muscle car almost Mercedes there. So it's interesting to see the two strengths and differences between these two cars as we see them go around the track.
Yeah, and as we run down here, this is just going to be the matter of holding onto the slipstream down the Mulsanne Straight as you get to the second chicane. You've got to just stay within that distance as much as you can, and that is the big key there, is to try to just hold on and run down. I do want to jump back and look at a replay really quick of that pass that a certain TV production person cut away from with Keaton, Cruthers, and Aiden Amaro here. This is going to be the pass that was slightly cut off, and we'll ride on board here. As you see, Aiden goes wide. Keaton gets a very good run up the inside, leaves plenty of room, nice and respectful, but is able to just tick off the position there, get his run through, and then just goes to work. And it goes to show because Keaton Cruthers is currently sitting, 7.6 seconds ahead. So plenty of distance to give there for Cruthers. He is easily just trying to roll in the time and the gap here. Let's jump back though, because I see that Caffrey is putting in some work on McLendon still, and this battle is going to go on for a little bit because the Mercedes, it's a lovely beast. It is a very strong car, very fast car that you just kind of have to hold on to. And as we see, McLendon runs a little wide using every millimeter of track possible in the Audi. And of course, McLendon, the Audi's nice and nimble. It does very, very well through the twisty technical bits of the track, which are going to be sectors 5, 6, and 7, if you really count that. But down the Mulsanne Straight, that is really where I expect the Mercedes to shine. But the issue is McLendon's got to stay close to... Oh, McLendon goes around into the wall. Our leader breaks loose.
Ooh, that was really, really rough. That's one of the toughest part about these mid-engine cars is they are so nimble, but when that rear end goes, it's so hard to save a snap. So luckily he was able to, keep it out of Caffrey there, but very, very, very frustrating there for Steve McLendon.
Yeah, and McLendon now drops all the way to P4. Pretty significant damage. You see him running wide there, trying to just keep the car on the track, and I would be very surprised. Yeah, look at that front hood. It is just sitting sideways. But no, McLendon is going to stay out for the time being, stick to the plan, and get it repaired at the first pit stop. That's the key with endurance racing. You got to remember, it's a long race. And sometimes it is better just to nurse the car for a little bit than it is to just immediately gut reaction pit in. Now, we'll see how this affects McLendon's speed, so we'll keep an eye on that long term. I do want to go back and watch a couple of replays of that, though, because that was a rough little wreck here as we watch McLendon going through, running around through the Porsche curves, and just the back end brakes a little bit. Good avoiding move there from Michael Caffrey to see that coming and avoid it and catch on there. Now, let's jump back in. One more angle here as it goes through, and you can see here from the static TV shot that as he comes around, just a little slide, and Cafferty reacts very, very well through, and that is just all she wrote. And then the long run of trying to get back around.
It's going to be tough going down the Mulsanne straight there with that Audi. The front end damage is definitely going to be giving it quite a bit of drag. These drivers do have two fast repairs that they can use, but like you said, you don't really want to use one too early if you don't have to. McLendon now, 16 seconds off the lead there, so we'll have to see just how much his pace is affected. He might have gotten lucky. It might not affect him too much, but I'm pretty sure that was a pretty big hit.
Yeah, that was not a gentle hit at all as it sat, so I'm very much curious to see what the speed difference is, and we can actually pull that up here and look at top speeds as it sits. So you can see that McLendon top speed 173 at the moment, weight 176, Caffery 175. Look at the GTP stop speeds though. Look at that. Cruthers top speed 198, Hyatt and Amaro at 207. So big differences.
That's got to be your draft thrown in. The Hyatt and Amaro cars, they're right next to each other. There's only a gap of about 1.5 seconds between the two of them, about 2 seconds now. So going down that Mulsanne straight, that's got to be just pure draft. Cruthers up there in the 200s, but to be 7 seconds slow and still 18 seconds ahead of the second and third place GTP cars, that draft is strong.
Yeah, Cruthers just completely running away with it here. Hyatt and Amaro, again, only about a couple of seconds separating them. They're not too far off, but Ryan Hyatt does seem very nice and comfortable as it sits. Tyler Merritt is back in the race. It appears just over a lap down, sitting in the pit lane here as we continue on through this race. We're on lap 4 technically with 2 hours and 13 minutes to go. I want to take you back to the race start real quick, and we're going to reanalyze that race start from the GT3s because we saw the GTP start a bit, and this is the GT3 start as it goes through. We'll kind of take a couple of different looks at this and just look at a couple of different angles as it goes here. They come through, and this is the jump, the Audi there, getting the early jump there from McLendon. He did very well to cover off, and then P2 there of Michael Caffrey just trying to run the Corvette there on the inside, and you see the BMW. Who was that? That was one of the BMWs snapping a bit loose. I missed who that was. I wanted to say that was Mark Herzog possibly. Or no, sorry, that was not Mark Herzog. That was Rick Waite, I believe, who snapped loose early on. But you see back in the background here, the Mustang, it has to brake much earlier here into the Dunlop curves, but is able to really, really munch on those curves and get through, even though it has to brake earlier and hold on. Up in the front here, as it sat, it was Steve McLendon who took off very, very well and got away early. Now let's take a look at the GTP start here really quick. This is Ryan Hyatt. Ryan Hyatt started P4, remember? So, or P3, I apologize. Anthony Sperazza started in P4. But as we go through, Keaton, Cruthers, and Aiden up in the front, they got going, and immediately, as soon as they crossed the start-finish line, Aiden was in the slipstream of Keaton, trying to just stay right with him and keep right there in the slipstream. Anthony Sperazza hard on the brakes early into the corner and then overshoots into the Dunlop curves and has to go back through. And now we go under the Dunlop Bridge, and these two battled side by side, but it was Aiden Amaro who was able to get the run up the inside here, get past going into Tetra Rouge, and then this was where the run really started. Now, of course, Aiden back into P3 as it sits, but still trying to make moves. And what did we miss while we were looking at that replay? Looks like Brian Wildison had a bit of a moment here, and let's check this out as it comes through here in the BMW, coming around, and
Ooh, just lost the front end out of nowhere, and the back just spun on him. That was a BMW incident if I ever saw one.
That was very much a BMW incident, and having to cut back into pit lane. So we'll do one more quick shot of that there to see exactly what happened, because that was, again, a very, very weird little bit of an incident. So we're going to see where that is. And then Steve McLendon, of course, passing him in for P7 in overall here. And we'll check out that pass really quick, because this is Steve McLendon, again, that beat up front end. And this is going to be looking at how he passed Brian there, going around and going through.
It's disappeared.
Yeah, he just ran wide there and got through. They swapped the positions. Aiden has now passed Ryan Hyatt. Let's check this out really quick. Ryan Hyatt and Aiden dueling very hard through the Porsche curves, and very, very close together there. And as it stands, just Aiden able to stomp on the brakes in that car, and is now up, leading just over a second on Ryan Hyatt, trying to continue the move there. McLendon and Rick Waite still battling it out. It does look like McLendon has stayed ahead for the moment.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of front right damage there on the Audi, so there was definitely significant damage, but it doesn't look like it's holding him up too much. I think he just lost more time just because of the incident itself, and less to do with some damage. So it might have been a good idea for him to stay out like he did. Like I said, we do have 2 fast repairs for these drivers tonight, but you don't want to go about using them too early if you don't have to. So it looks like his pace hasn't diminished too much, but he has dropped that gap. Got the Ben Harcum in the Ford Mustang out in second place there. So he's 12 seconds back from our leader, Michael Caffrey, but still a very solid run here so far for this Ford Mustang.
Yeah, the Ford Mustang, a very, very... I like it. I'm really liking the car. I'm liking everything I'm seeing in it coming out of iRacing. I tell you what I really love is I love that the gear shift indicator is the Ford badge. And I love it. I love everything about this car, especially the sound. Like, if you listen to the sound here, it is very, very nice. It's muscly. It's Mustangy. I don't have good words for it, Michael. It's Mustangy.
It definitely sounds like an American muscle car. It drives like an American muscle car. It feels like an American muscle car. It's such a great addition here to the iRacing, field, and it's just so responsive to your inputs. Not like a 911 or like an Audi or something like that, but as far as your Mercedes, your Mustangs, your BMWs, it just sits nicely in between those 2 cars and just feels comfortable. So it's not exactly the fastest out there. It doesn't handle the best, but it just kind of is very well-rounded, and it just loves to eat those curbs.
That's what I like about it, is watch the way Harcum is handling this car. I mean, there's no care that there's a curb anywhere. Going through the Dunlop curves, there's little sausage curves through. He doesn't care. He's just plowing through them and does not mind. Look, even a little bit of a tire in the grass there as we ride on board, and it just shows how compliant the Mustang can be. And it's got enough power to really get you down the straights, but they've done a great job of making it just nimble enough to handle. And I will tell you, the cars in real life are very competitive. They're gorgeous. They sound good. They're a lot of fun. Getting to see them at Daytona was one of my favorite things. And they are a very, very nice GT3 car in real life. Now, I do want to see Tyler Merritt's not back out on track, but I was wanting to look at a bit more of the Corvette car and see how it was handling and going through. But Tyler Merritt has not returned to track. He is in session, so I think he might at some point, I hope.
Did we have another incident with Brian Wilderson?
I don't see another incident.
He's showing us out now.
Yeah, he is showing us out. It doesn't look like he's back. So we've lost another car with 2 hours and 6 minutes to go. I am showing that we had an incident with Anthony Sprazza, though. So let's jump back here and take a quick replay. And it looks like it was actually not an incident, but no. There's the left front tire lockup. A little tap of the wall. You see the front end divot just a little bit, but nothing too Too bad. Gets away with it, gets back rolling, and again, still that little bit of a connection issue showing itself as we jump back in here. The Mustang's running, 12 seconds back still. Let's jump back to Steve McLendon here. Front end, look at
Oh, that front end, yeah.
Oh, the more I look at it, the worse it looks.
Yeah, when I first got a glimpse of it, it looked like the right front end was a little banged up, but now getting a closer look at that hood, that is really smashed in. Cruthers is starting to come up on these back-running GT3 cars. I say back-running because the 4th place, 3rd place here. But our GTP cars are going to start coming through the GT3 field, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they're able to maneuver through there. Now, there is a very, very wide track here. It's partially, a public road, so you need to have plenty of room for public cars. So it should be all right. Traffic shouldn't be too much of an issue, but it's always going to be interesting to see, at least for the first couple times that these cars come through the field.
Well, and remember, this is a track that is public road, so it should be wide enough, but you're also putting race cars on it, and race car drivers who tend to make these cars run a lot wider than they need to. But it is triple bypass, and these are drivers that all respect each other. They know how they run, so I'm not anticipating anything really getting out of hand when lap traffic starts to happen. And I would say that...
Here it is.
Here it comes.
You look just ahead, you're going to see the taillights of the Beamers.
Here we go.
Yep, right there.
We'll ride with Keaton here for a minute and just keep our eyes on him and see how this lands, because I'm sure he's going to have no issue clearing. He's got a 25-second gap to Amaro. So I'm not expecting...
Yeah, there's no reason for him to push too hard.
Too much there. So we'll see what happens. And also, big apologize to everyone on YouTube who's watching. I just realized that the race sponsor banner has been up for the past 30 minutes or so. Yeah, that's a technical issue on my side, so I do apologize, but we've got that off the screen now.
Yeah, first pit.
Should be okay. And, okay, Cruthers decides he doesn't want to deal with the traffic and takes a pit stop.
It's not a bad strategy. He's going to have to come in at some point, so if his tires are starting to fade a little bit, maybe he needs a little bit of splash of fuel, why not come in early when you're about to come up on those GT3 cars and just not even have to worry about the headache? It's not a bad strategy. We'll see if Aiden Amaro comes in. It looks like Aiden is going to be staying out. So, no, Aiden has come into the pits as well. So maybe this is about the time that the GTP cars are starting to fall off.
All right, so I am going to presume that that is a fuel run for them, which is interesting to know that it's like 7 or 8 laps. Not the answer I was expecting here as we wait. And Ryan Hyatt's in as well. So it looks like... interesting.
Yeah, it
I
must
wasn't
be
expecting that. So about a half-hour
Yeah,
run.
I think these GT3 cars, they'll probably go about 9 laps. I know their fuel do about 55%. I think I did a couple laps earlier, and I fueled it to about that, and I made it about 9 laps. But, I was the only one on track, so... And also, you really don't want to compare my driving to these guys' driving. These guys are way better than I ever will be, so... But I think you're going to start seeing those GT3 cars come in probably in about 2 more laps.
Yeah, I would think they would come in a little bit sooner. I've got another moment here for Anthony Sparazza, but of course we see it's disconnection moments. We'll see how he goes there. I think it looks like he has a moment there trying to get into pit lane, but probably okay, and I think it might just be the timing system detecting him going through. So all the GTPs have now officially done their first pit stop as it stands here. When do the GT3s come in becomes the question of the day. Well, if you're Caffrey up with a 20-second lead, you basically decide when everyone comes in. Parkham here in second place is just going to have no choice but to respond. And when you look at the track map in the top right, you can see just how significant the gap is here for everyone. Everyone very spread out and separated through. We started with 11. We're down to 8. 2 hours left to go here.
Man, every time that Mustang comes by, it just sounds so good. Oh.
It really does, doesn't it? It's just a very nice car. There's just something about it that sets right, and I do enjoy it. I don't even mind to just let the screen sit on it for a second, just for the pure sake of I enjoy it.
It's a beautiful car, beautiful sound. But right now, as far as the GT3s go, the Mercedes GT3 is the one that's absolutely blowing everybody away. Michael Caffrey there, and honestly, just dominating with the Dominate race team. So there you go. Steve McLendon, Twisty Bits Racing, are sponsored tonight, back in third place. We saw this incident earlier. So we know Steve has pace, but unfortunately he has fallen back a little bit. About 33 seconds, about 34 seconds off the lead there. So, but we have 2 hours to go. Plenty can happen. Plenty can happen. So, see, and Morrow slowing down quite a bit here.
Yeah, what is...
Did he have a slowdown?
That's the only thing I can think of, is that he got a slowdown there for track limits going through the Mulsanne corner. That is unfortunate if that is the case.
I'd be interested to see what kind of tire wear difference between the Cadillac and the Acura are. I feel like the Acura is a little bit more nimble, but is probably going to be a lot harder on the tires than the Cadillac is.
Yeah, it's...
And we see Harcum and McLendon are both in the pit lane, so they both came in. Caffrey stayed out.
Interesting that that is the decision from them to do that. So let's check here and see how things look here. So interesting to see that they're going for the earlier pit strategy, and we'll keep our eyes on that to see how that works out there. You see McLendon, I think McLendon is taking the fast repair as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that front end looks a lot healthier now. And I would assume probably just taking fuel as well. It's probably a little bit early for having to take the tires, but I mean, he did have that spin, so it's kind of hard to tell. They do have unlimited tires to use, so I mean, it's up to them, but I don't think he took any tires on that pit stop. That was pretty quick.
That was a
Looked like it was fuel only.
Yeah, and I would think that you wouldn't need tires every pit stop. Now, if they have them, there's probably no sense to not use them, but, you know, you never know.
Yep, that puts them both back about a minute off. Wait there. Wait stayed out, so we have a new runner in second place. Obviously, Caffrey and Wait have not come in for pit stops yet, so that is going to change a little bit. But Michael Caffrey, I expect to obviously stay out in front. He's got such a large lead, 43 seconds back to second place, and Rick Wait out front there with the GTP cars. Looks like Keaton Cruthers is just kind of pacing himself. He's coming back up on Rick Wait, though, so he is going to come back into some GT3 traffic, but I have a feeling that Rick Wait will probably be coming in, if not this lap, but next lap.
Yeah, I would think that they would pit a little bit sooner. We'll see what's going on. I know, just a note for everyone, I know there's a couple of weird things happening with the stream. I don't have a good answer as to what's happening there. I am trying to troubleshoot it on my end, so if the stream quality is kind of going up and down and a little bit sideways, I do apologize, and just kind of bear with me. I think that is just a little bit of a case of the, how do I phrase this? A case of the me's is where I'll leave it. And we'll see if we can get it sort of sorted in a minute as our race leader, Keaton Cruthers, now officially begins the lapping car process and gets his way through and continues forward.
Yeah, let's jump over to that chat there. We got a couple people in the chat. Carson Martin going for WSG Racing. Let's see what else we got here. David Thompson saying pass by earlier. Speranza, I believe that's somebody that knows Anthony Speranza. Same last name at the very least, saying go Anthony. And Matt Parasini talking about the stream. But Matt, where are you at tonight? I could have sworn that you were going to be here.
Yeah, I was wondering where Parasini was. Very interesting to me that Parasini is not here. So we'll have to figure out where old Matt Parasini has appeared or disappeared to in that respect. Not sure on that side where he's went. And give us about 5 seconds here. Michael, I'm gonna let you take us Radio LeMans style and just kind of talk the people through for a second here while we do one quick thing to try to fix this stream for the people, because the people are demanding they get their good video and the people are not getting their good video. So we're gonna take away the iRacing picture. It's still there, but you're gonna hear the beautiful voice of Michael just narrating what's going on.
Yeah, well, right now we're following Cruthers around and around and around. He's got that 31-second gap coming underneath the Dunlop Bridge right there, but Matt Parasini out in the chat saying he's going to take over for the 24, so it looks like he's just waiting his time. So, Matt, who are you taking over for? Let's see if I can guess this. I'm going to guess Ryan Hyatt. I don't know why, that's just my guess. So let me know who you're taking over for in the chat there as we get a good glimpse going down the Mulsanne Straight, and Cruthers is just flying here. Coming up to the first major braking zone. He's going to spot his braking marker. He's going to drop gears and come all the way around through this first little chicane here. Be careful on the exit. And able to just open it right back up. Drifting slowly back to the right side of the road here, because you're going to have to line yourself up for the second of the chicanes down the Mulsanne Straight. But he's got plenty of time there as we see the hump in the road that was famously where the Mercedes did a little backflip there a few years back. So we see him dropping through the gears, coming through. It's a little bit easier to get on the gas coming out of the second chicane than it is the first chicane. But that just leads you down into this strange little kink of a turn called Mulsanne. Come up the hill here. You stay on the gas, kind of feed it a little bit to the right, but then you have to gently trail brake all the way down through the gears, come through that tight right-hander, get back on the gas, and open it back up. Take it down a straight through turns 16, 17, and 18 into Indianapolis. And yeah, you got it. Should be in the next stop. All right. Ryan Hyatt, that was a nice guess, honestly. That's all that was. But excited to see you out here, Matt. So I know I saw you practicing earlier, so that's kind of why I had a feeling you're going to be here. And then when he didn't show up, well, now it makes sense. We're following around with our leader here, though. Cruthers just biding his time. It looks like he's pushing, obviously, but not having to push too hard. You really don't want to overdrive these cars. These GTP cars, while they have a ton of downforce, it's not like they're open wheelers. It's not the Super Formulas or the Indy cars or even, a Formula One car out here. So while it does make the GT3 car look quite slow, like a moving chicane almost, the GTP cars still aren't quite the total downforce that an open wheel car, generally speaking, is. So they are still challenging the drive. They have very loose rear ends. You've got to be careful with the throttle, but also extremely fun to drive, and they sound great. Let's just be honest. Being in that cockpit, it just sounds phenomenal. So hopefully here soon we'll have a little bit of clarification on the stream, and we'll get back together here. But as for now, we're going to see Keaton Cruthers come through for another run. This is starting his next lap here. So far, he has a best lap time of 3 minutes and 25 seconds, 0.821. So that is quite a blistering speed there for the 2200 IR driver. Second place, Aiden Amaro has a lap time of 3 minutes, 29 seconds, and 0.846, so 8/10 there. Still a pretty blistering lap time underneath the 3 minute 30 seconds there. And Ryan Hyatt with the 3:32 there, that's nothing to shake a tail to. So these are some extremely fast drivers here, and we have had everybody come into the pits in the GT3 class. I'm sorry, I did miss that momentarily. But Michael Caffrey has come into the pits. That puts Ben Harcum back up into second place. Dean McLendon back into third place. And Rick Waite has pit, so that drops him back into fourth. Unfortunately, we do have 3 drivers out right now. 4 drivers out right now. No, 3 drivers. Maybe one day I'll learn how to count.
Yeah,
Brandon Wilderson out, Tyler Merritt out, and Mark Herzog, who did not take the start, I don't believe.
Yeah, he did not. We've now had something big has happened here with Ben Harkham and Michael Caffrey. Let's jump in real quick and take a look. Ben Harkham, our Mustang friend. I don't like where this is going, and the back end bites and comes around.
That does happen. That does happen sometimes with the Mustang. Don't spin right now. Don't spin right now.
Oh, sir. Man, that was a rough one for him. But then we did have Michael Caffrey, who had a very significant gap. Get it all wrong going into the Dunlop curves. And big spin and a good avoid there from Ryan Hyatt.
Yeah, Ryan Hyatt got very lucky. He was able to see that coming, but very, very, very tight through the curves there. So he was able to maneuver that. I'm sure Matt Parasini is happy to see he got through that, no problem. He's right along with Aiden Emero. Aiden has dropped that gap a little bit. I heard Cruthers coming through when we saw that Ben Harkham incident, but I don't think I saw him. So maybe there was a little bit of a hiccup, maybe not. I'm not too sure, but you always got to be careful when you are coming back on a track. You don't want to straighten yourself out right into somebody else's path. I think we've all been there in public lobbies, and it's extremely frustrating, but obviously here in league racing, and it looks like Aiden has another, or maybe it's just the camera angle. It looked like he was moving quite slowly there for a moment.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Aiden Amaro, because he had pace, but then he's kind of settled in here to a rhythm, and the gap's 40 seconds and continuing to sit. And I've been trying to keep my eye on where that's landing, because Keaton Cruthers here is just, I mean, absolutely flying through. Look at the track map and the significance of the gap difference there. I mean, it's night and day, the gap. I'm very surprised, honestly, at how far he's gone. Keaton kind of acting like he was going to go in the pits and actually doesn't there. We're an hour, 49 minutes left to go here. Race lap 10 as we sit here. And Keaton Cruthers crosses the line, brings us to lap 11. But you can see just how wide the gap is going. But Anthony Speranza still with those connection issues. And to tell you what, that's a bad place to be in as a driver. When you're having those sort of blinking moments, it's a bad time. And you know, Matt Parasini brings up, you can't trust a corgi behind the wheel. That's the most accurate thing I've heard someone say in a hot minute. You can't trust a corgi behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a toothbrush, man. He's got them tiny little arms.
I love it.
Sorry.
I love it.
That one's out of left field. I promise I'll leave that one in the backpack for later. But yeah, no, Cruthers just out there just absolutely gapping the field, whether it be GTP or GT3. Just seems like he is just on a different level right now. Just seems comfortable in this car, comfortable on this track, comfortable in the setting. Hasn't really made any real mistakes so far that we've seen. Might have had an off here or there, but I mean, it's a 3.5 minute lap. You're bound to have an off track at least at some point. But it seems like he is very calm, cool, and collected underneath that bright green and black Dallara chassis. Oh, I'm sorry. No, the Cadillac is not a Dallara chassis. I apologize. Let me clarify that.
It is not a Dallara chassis. So, yeah.
It is. What is the BMW? That's the Dallara, I believe.
It is. It is the BMW that is the Dallara. And if I'm wrong in chat, go ahead and just yell at me, because I'm the one who's saying it. So you know where it's coming from is me. Make sure you call me out for it, okay? Chat always does good to call people out.
So yeah, the BMW is. Oh yeah, the BMW and the Cadillac are both the Dallara chassis.
I didn't think the Cadillac was a Dallara chassis. Interesting. I don't know what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's based on the Dallara LMP2 chassis, just like the BMW M Hybrid V8. So those two are the BMW, or the Dallaras. The Porsche, which we don't have any Porsches in the field, the 963, is based on the Constructor Multimatic, which is also an LMP2 chassis. Obviously, all the chassis are LMP2 chassis. They all fit a defined, They fit into a formula, if you will. The Acura, we only have the one Acura out here, but Orica makes the chassis for the Acura. So Honda reached out to Orica to work on their chassis. So that is why it is a little bit different. All these GTP cars, they're very similar. They're all mid-engine cars. They all have their own specifications that they have to fall into, but they do drive relatively differently. The Cadillac, I know we discussed this a little bit earlier, but the Cadillac and the Porsche 963, both a little bit tend to be a little more understeery, so they're a little more friendly to drivers, whereas we ride along board here with the Acura, it's a lot looser on the rear end. You see a little snap right there coming out of the chicane. I had to do a little correction on the wheel. So the rear end is a little bit looser. Yeah, we don't have any of the BMWs in the field tonight, but I guess the BMW would kind of sit someplace neutral in between the Cadillac, Porsche, and the Acura. But obviously, like I said, we don't have any of those in the field tonight.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't have any in the field, but you know, it's one of those that when the Cadillac GTP car came out, that is what I feel like everyone gravitated to that. I feel like everyone's sort of mindset to that was, ooh, Cadillac, go fast racing. And you know, we start to see that with the introduction of Cadillac into Formula One and the introduction of Cadillac into other things. And yes, I made a comment about Formula One and Cadillac because I'm just saying Andretti has done more for motorsport than Formula One has done for Formula One in many a number of years. Anyways, with that being said, you know...
well, let's actually reach out. Room number 2, we have Matt Parasini waiting to talk about corgis. If you want to go ahead and pull him in.
Yeah, let's bring Parasini up here. Mr. Pirouetti Parasini. Matt, hopefully you've got a few minutes here, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Hyatt's going for another stint, so I got some time.
Hey, there you go.
There we go. Well, I gotta ask you, LeMans, how's it feel so far? Sitting there watching your teammate running. How is Hyatt doing in your perspective?
Well, I told you can't trust a corgi behind the wheel, so he's making me nervous. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge out there for the corgi to try to get around this track. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's we don't have Keaton speed for sure. He's in another zip code tonight, but it's a different track. Like Hyatt and I both have never raced this track. We both bought it today, turned our first laps like 2 hours before the race, so we're still learning it and everything like that and everything. Hyatt right now is really struggling because he's depleted the battery and we can't get it to recharge.
Yeah, that's another thing that we haven't really discussed too much is these GTP cars are all hybrids. So you definitely want to use that boost, and if you can't use that boost, that's going to definitely give you a huge detriment there. As we see, Speranza is out of the race. I'm not sure what happened there, but he is showing on my timing sheet is out now. Whoop, no, he's back in.
We'll look here real quick and see if we can't tell. I know he's been having connection issues all night, so let's see if we can get a quick replay and tell what happened to him. It looks like... it's hard to tell, but it looks like just did not break for Indianapolis. There, yeah, interesting there. So, but it looks like he did get back going again. So I'm not sure.
I think that's Mulsanne, I believe. But yeah, so Matt, tell us a little bit about this track. You said you got the track earlier today. You're kind of learning it. You and Ryan Hyatt are both kind of just brand new to it. So tell us what it's like to drive a GTP car around this track.
It's really fast. I mean, you're so wide open throttle for so much of the lap, and then you've got those real sharp right-handers that you got to really slow down for, and then there's a couple hairpins that these cars really don't like sharp hairpin turns. They're not their favorite, so both of us have struggled with it, but it's fun. I mean, I wish we had more cars out here tonight than we do, but it's so much different than Daytona.
You got this from here. I'm going to jump in the lobby. I'm coming in.
I'm down for it. All right, here we go. We'll give him about 15 minutes. He'll be back in the booth. It's okay. You know, Matt...
I won't even get a lap in.
If your PC does better than mine, you'll be just fine.
I told you I can't. I can't run multi-class.
Yeah, that is true. Matt, I gotta ask you, in terms of overall, we're running 5 nights of racing here in Triple Bypass. What's your favorite night of the week to race?
Right now, I would probably say my favorite night is Gen 4. That's kind of been my favorite for a long time. I really wish we were still running Next Gen. Next Gen is still my favorite car. But I enjoy running the Gen 4 car.
Matt, are you about to jump in the car here? It looks like Ryan Hyatt's coming into the pits.
No, I decided to give him another stint because I said he keeps screwing up. So I said, get some tires on it and go try to fix your lap times.
Okay. We don't want to hold you up if you're jumping in the car, but if you're going to stick with us, we definitely appreciate that. Question for you. You love the Gen 4 car, which famously has a very loose rear end. How does that compare, and how does that prepare you for running these GTP cars?
Not a lot. I mean, road racing is just so much different than NASCAR-style race cars, right? The NASCAR-style race cars have such a narrow tire, and with the Gen 4 car, they've got so much horsepower with that narrow tire. You really have to be soft with the throttle. These Cadillacs, you don't really have to be as smooth with the throttle, but it does help you a little bit, I guess, for trying to, pushing the power down and being smooth with the throttle.
Okay, fair enough. And another question for you. Why did you guys gravitate towards the Cadillac? Was there anything between you and Ryan that you discussed? Was it just a mutually owned vehicle? Was there anything that just kind of pulled it toward you?
You know what? When it comes to the GTP car, the biggest thing we loved about the Cadillac was the sound. It has such an amazing. Oh my god! And there he goes, and he spun it out.
No.
Oh yeah. We love the sound of the Cadillac. The Cadillac has an amazing sound.
Oh, he's coming out of the pits. He didn't even make it to turn 1.
I told you can't trust a corgi with behind the wheel.
Okay, what's the story behind the Bluey livery tonight?
Hyatt actually had a while back, he had actually contacted the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation to see if he could run their logo in iRacing, and got approval for it and everything like that. So he wanted to do a fun, children's themed car. So we decided, because my daughter's favorite cartoon right now is Bluey. So we're running a Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation's car with a Bluey paint scheme.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Always comes out with a good positive message there, running it for a good reason. All about it, man. I'm all about it. It looks great, too.
Yeah, Hyatt whipped it up today, so he did a pretty good job.
Custom livery, even. Ah, very nice.
What's he better at?
The
What's he better at, making liveries or driving cars?
No comment.
Okay.
That gives it away.
Let's just say there's still a little bitterness left over from Tuesday night.
Oh, have you all talked about Tuesday night?
We have, and we've agreed that he was definitely at fault, and I owe him one.
Well, now you got to let me in. I wasn't here for Tuesday night.
Bradley was. Hyatt misjudged the braking going into turn 3 and killed me.
That will happen. That will happen.
You know what's funny is my job as an insurance adjuster, and looking at that, yes, I would 100% agree. That is what happened.
Yep, that's what happened, and yeah, we've talked about it and everything, and he said he didn't expect me to brake as early as we did. On Tuesday night, with my car anyway, I was running 36% brake bias. I had the rear brakes really turned up trying to get the car to turn into the corner. And so while I was on the brakes, it was getting loose going in, and then him tapping me like he did, it just came right around, and then I was in the wall.
That sounds like a horrible combination of things all coming together at the worst possible time.
Yep.
It was something. It was very much something, to say the least. So, let's see. Matt, how many laps did you run of LeMans? I know you said you didn't run a lot, but About how many do you think you ran?
I've probably got about 11. Like, I don't have a lot. It takes so long to get around this racetrack, and then the worst part is that when I was first learning it, I would usually mess up turn 15 or turn 20, and before I got to actually complete a lap. So I've wrecked the car quite a few times before I actually completed one lap.
Yeah, it's so easy to do, especially on your warm-up lap. Those tires are cold. These corners are very tricky. There's a lot of elevation change that you don't really notice until it already come upon you. You know, even here in the first sector alone, there's just so much elevation change. It throws the balance of the car off, and it just makes it so much more challenging to drive. You see here coming down the hill, and then hard on the brakes here. Now you have a little bit of an angle there, but yeah, coming down here, and then luckily you can open it all the way up here through Tete Rouge, and you can just kind of just make it a double apex curve and just flat out down the Mulsanne straight. But it is really challenging in some of these parts because you just don't realize the elevation change until it's too late, and then all of a sudden your rear end is where your front end should be, and you're in the wall.
Yeah, it actually, the closest car that I can say like that I would race that resembles this car to me is actually the NASCAR Next Gen car, because it's the same thing. If the weight shifts in the rear end the wrong way, you can't save it. It just comes around and it's gone.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Mustang or the BMW. If you try to catch a slide in those, they're very hard to save, really. It'll just kind of catch you off guard, and the next thing you know, you're coming around. So I know it's I don't know too much about these GTP cars, to be completely transparent, but you know, it's definitely a challenge to collect those cars. So I can imagine it's tenfold in these cars. There's so much more power and so much harder to drive.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one nice thing about the GTP cars is that you do have the traction control and stuff. I mean, the one thing that you're missing in the GTP car is the GTP cars do not have ABS, right? So when you're braking, it's very easy to lock up the front tires and overshoot the corner that way too.
Yeah, fair enough. That is definitely a challenge. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of ABS to begin with, but without ABS in these cars, it is definitely much harder to control that tire degradation for sure.
It absolutely is, and I'm just really happy that the track is not wet.
Oh, that was real. Totally different wrench into the things.
Can you imagine?
I believe you said something. Somebody said in the Discord channel before the race that there was a very low but constant chance or threat of rain tonight.
It's about 4%, so we're probably not going to see it. But.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, no, I think of the GT3 races this year, I believe there was only one that had a fairly high chance of rain, and that was the last one that they ran, and it rained with about, I think they said about 20 minutes left to go. It was a monsoon.
Ooh. Yeah, the iRacing really waited its time, but they've done a really good job, in my opinion, with the rain for a lot of these cars. Now, nothing's perfect yet. It is still new. They're still working on the tire models. And I did hear, was there an issue with the GTP cars last season with the rain model?
Let's just say if you're ever driven on ice, then you'll know what it was like to drive a GTP car on rain.
Now, would you say this season's been a marked improvement on that?
Yeah, definitely marked improvement. I mean, the thing I'm looking forward to is that we've got enough time that they can get it fixed and get it all kind of sorted out before the Daytona 24 next year, because that's always the biggest event on iRacing every year. So I'm really looking forward to having it like perfected probably by then, because it's about a year, you know, still got 6 months to go. So we've already talked, Hyatt, myself, and Ben, and Ollie. I think we're going to make another attempt at the Daytona 24 here next year. So
you guys got your team ready to go, and hopefully you'll be able to avoid the rain, but if not, they'll have it all sorted. So that sounds like a great plan, and honestly, if I were you, I would just start lapping Daytona right now.
Yeah. Well, we finished P2 last year in our split, so
wow.
We basically said we only got one spot left to get. So
hey, there you go, P2. That's definitely something to pat you back about. 4-hour race, P2. That's just, there's so many challenges that you just don't really think about until you're like 12 hours into an endurance race.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were 13 hours in, and we were only 40 seconds behind the leader. And then a lap car darted out in front of Hyatt where he didn't have a chance to miss it. And he ended up locking up the brakes in the intersection of Daytona and nosed it into the tire barrier. And, of course, it was required repair. And so that put us, like, 6 laps down. And then we had basically got it all back. We were 1 lap down. And then I nosed it into the barrier. So we finished P2, but we were, I think, 10 laps down by the end of it.
And which car were you driving last year?
We were in the Cadillac.
Okay, so this is going to be your second year in the Cadillac, so you got a little bit of experience with it as we see. Oh, no, I thought Cruthers was going to be coming in for another pit, but he faked me out there.
Yeah, that's why we run it, right? It's to kind of keep your skill up and everything like that. But the ultimate goal is that we would really like to win the Daytona 24, so that's our goal for next year.
Good luck with that, man.
I would love to be involved with that. I would love to be there for that. Not racing. We can make a production. We can discuss that off stream about a production.
There you go.
Get your own little cheerleading squad there.
Oh yeah, we can make something happen there. We see the replay of Ben.
We had
Ooh, just completely missed the braking zone. You think that might be tire deg? Maybe he just kind of got sidetracked. I'm not really sure, but he was lucky to keep that out of the wall.
Yeah, that was a weird one. No, that's a map question is what that is.
which question? Sorry, I missed it, guys. Hyatt was talking to me for a sec.
Oh, well, we just saw an incident there, Jared, just a moment ago with Ben Harcum coming into Mulsanne to turn 14 and 15. He kind of missed his braking zone and then almost put it into the wall, but it was just such a strange. It was just such a large miss of the braking zone, so it was just interesting. But right now we're taking a look here. Ryan Waite and Stephen McLendon. Stephen McLendon are race sponsor tonight with Twisty Bits Racing.
The tire dig is definitely a possibility because Ryan decided not to take tires at the first stop, and we actually were down to like 75% on the front. And I kind of told him, I said, that probably wasn't the smartest idea. So it's definitely possible.
Look here, see if I can find it. Your last pit was lap 12, so it would have put you around lap 6, and you guys were already 6 laps in and 75%. That's quite high.
Yeah. Actually, in fact, I'm just looking at it here now. We were when Ryan came in for the last stop before he put tires on, we were actually down to 63 and 62 on the front.
Okay, so the second part of that stint wasn't as bad as the first part then.
Yeah, but you definitely, with the GTP cars anyway, I've noticed once the tire wear starts getting below about 85%, it definitely hurts the lap time.
Oh yeah.
So with unlimited tires, we always found, even in the Daytona 24, we were actually taking tires every stint, just because of the degradation.
Were you taking all 4, or were you taking outside tires?
Yeah, no, we were taking all 4 every time.
Okay. Because I've seen a lot, I guess it's really track dependent, but if you're taking fuel, you can throw on right side depending on, which way the course is facing. Obviously, your outside tire is gonna be taking the most damage at the end of the day. But I've seen where you can go ahead and take those outside tires, whether it be right side or left side, while you're fueling, and it doesn't really hurt your pit stop time. Whereas if you take all 4 tires, it does slow you down a little bit. As we see a really solid battle here between second place and third place for the GT3 class. Ryan Wade is just trying everything he can, Rick Wade is trying everything he can to hold on to second place here, but we're seeing Steve McLendon just all over the backside of him. We know that Audi's fast. He had an incident early in the race, but we know he's got pace, so we'll see what happens here if Rick Wade is able to keep behind there.
Matt, do you have GT3 experience before the GTPs?
Yeah. I actually the year before we ran the 24 with the GTP, I actually ran the GT3 Mercedes that year.
Okay, cool. That's okay. Hello, McLendon around Wait, because Wait's into the pits along with Michael Caffrey. That's a big dive through. I was gonna ask you, seeing Michael Caffrey up in the lead, how tricky can that Mercedes be? I've always heard that it is you got to be very polite to her. Is what I've always heard. She likes to get away from you when she can. So is that your experience?
What I ended up finding, and the reason I actually went with the Mercedes is because I actually found the Mercedes drove most like the NASCAR style car, and that suited my driving style, right? Because that's what I was used to. So that's why I went to the Mercedes, and I got in the Mercedes. I was actually fairly comfortable right off the bat.
That's the best way to keep your pace up, just being comfortable with the car.
Yeah, because of the front engine, rear drive, and everything like that, it handled very similar. So, you kind of could take your turns and take your braking points and everything exactly the same way as you would in a NASCAR, and that just overall made me comfortable and was able to keep the lap times up. So,
did you try the other GT3 cars? Like, did you put a lot of laps in the other cars to kind of before you settled on the Mercedes, or was it kind of love at first sight for you?
Well, no, I ran the Ferrari as well, and I didn't like the Ferrari as much as I liked the Mercedes. It was kind of like, and then I talked to Kyle. I mean, Kyle Gretsch. I mean, he's our road ace around here, and I like to call him our road ace. And I talked to him about it and everything like that, and I said, because I had to buy a car, and he was like, well, he said, based on what you've raced, he said, go with the Mercedes. He said, you're probably going to be the most comfortable with it, and I think he said it'll really suit your style. And as soon as I got in the Mercedes, I was extremely comfortable, and I was like, well, that's the one I'm going to go with. Now, I will say, now that we have the Corvette GT3, I want to give the Corvette GT3 a try. So if I get an opportunity to do one of these GT3 races again, I might do it on my own, and I might try the Corvette.
That's actually really interesting that you say that, being that the Corvette has gone with that mid-engine style. I was actually thinking about asking you, have you tried the Mustang yet? Because it sounds like the Mustang would be right up your alley.
Well, it might be, but I have never, ever had any luck driving a Ford in real life. And so I can't bring that distinction over to iRacing because I think I would have the same bad luck.
That's fair enough. I have the same issue with Chrysler, so there you go.
Yeah, I've been a Chrysler guy forever. Like, that's all I've ever owned for vehicles, basically, is Chrysler. So, or GM. I've had GM too.
Yeah, if it's not a Dodge Viper or my wife's Jeep, I am not a Chrysler fan. But that's just personal preference. I've just had too much bad experience with them.
See, I'm gonna catch a lot of flack here. I'm a Hyundai driver. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that. I already know. I used to sell Hyundais.
Hyundai is one of the best rally cars.
Yeah, it is, and it's a very good GT4 car.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that. Oh, Ryan.
All right, Matt, you gotta yell at Ryan.
Yeah, he's getting ready to pit here, I think, pretty quick. So I'm going to let you guys go head in there and ask him what happened there.
Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, man. We really appreciate it.
Hey, no worries, guys. Thanks for doing the broadcast. Sorry we didn't get you a bigger car count, but I wish we would have, because I'll tell you, this track, I think, with more cars would have been a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Maybe next time.
Well, we'll go for it. We'll definitely do it again, I'm sure.
It's still entertaining. It's still triple bypass. It's still a good race. So, but good luck on your stint.
Oh yeah.
We'll make sure to not commentator curse you. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Yep. See you, man. And no, Ryan Hyatt does not dive into the pits. He stays out for another lap. But Aiden Amaro is into the pits here, Michael. So it looks like in terms of GTP split strategy, is starting to become a little bit of the key. Last pit was on lap 12. For all three of the GTPs, and lap 18 now here is where Amaro will take his next pit stop, or lap 17 as it shows on the timer, in and through.
So it looks like It looks like Keaton Cruthers is actually extending this split a little bit. We do have a bit of a change into GT3s, but that is only going to be momentarily. Steve McLendon is back out front, but he is 3.5 seconds ahead of Michael Caffrey, who has made his pit stop, whereas Steve McLendon is going to have to commit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how long this sort of stays in place and when this changes. It shouldn't be there for long, so we'll see exactly what happens here and how that ends. Now, let's kind of jump back and let's talk about some of the big moments of the race here. We're an hour and 21 minutes to go. We've made it through an hour of this race, and of course, the race start gets away pretty well. So we'll jump all the way back there. Let's start there here with the race start with the GTPs. Possibly, if things want to work for me. So we'll jump it back and get that going here. So this is the race start. Gets underway very well here, and again, you can see this is going to be Keaton Cruthers and Aiden Amaro getting underway with Mr. Ryan Hyatt back in the background, just kind of hanging out. These two duel it out very hard, very early on, and keep it moving and grooving here. You can see up in the front is that number 809 of Keaton Cruthers, but you have Aiden Amaro, who's very aggressive on the brakes, and Keaton Cruthers locks it up a bit. Aiden Amaro looking very strong and sends it up the inside and gets the race start early on. Then moving on from there, you know, you do have Tyler Merritt in the GT3 category in the Corvette. You talked about the mid-engine, the action there, a little bit of a lockup, a little bit of a slide there. The car snaps, comes around, gets on the gravel, and sends it into the wall there. And that was all she wrote for Tyler Merritt. And then Tyler Merritt spins the car back around, doesn't even make it to the next corner here, and proceeds to do a burnout, get it going, doesn't make it to the next corner, and is going to send it on around again, and then that's all she wrote. Steve McLendon having his early moments there in the Audi, challenging with Michael Caffrey early on there. It's Audi versus Mercedes, and the Audi trying to hold on, kept them off for a number of laps, and they're on lap 3. That is the moment. That
was just so insane.
Yeah, that one is pretty unfortunate. But then Steve McLendon battling through. Ben Harcum having a moment here as it sits, and this is our Mustang driver. This was on lap number 9 that this one occurred, and this is a big snap there from the Mustang. Comes around into the tire barrier, and that front bumper goes bye-bye. Michael Caffrey then following not too far off, going into the Dunlop curves just the next lap, and this is just hard on the brakes, trying to go through. And just a little bit of a spin. Ryan Hyatt doing very good defensive maneuver driving there and keeps it going. Aiden Amaro with a spin early on and is able to recover from it. Nothing too bad, but again, in the same position, the Dunlop curves, just a little bit too much in the throttle and sends the car sideways. No harm, no foul, but that has also left some good battles on. Rick Waite and Steve McLendon showing us some very good battle. This is, again, Steve McLendon trying to battle his way back through. Rick Waite here for company, and those two going through, and Rick Waite doing a very good jump into the pits there. Steve McLendon moving his way forward. And as it stands, just over an hour in, McLendon is your leader by 3.3 seconds, but does still need to pit soon, as he is slightly off the pit cycle.
We actually need to correct that. The last pit lap he had was actually lap 13. So he is on the pit lap. So this is a battle for the lead. This is not off cycle. I'm not sure how he made up so much time, but Steve McLendon is rightfully so in the lead right now. They both have two pit stops. Michael Caffrey pitting on lap 14 just a moment ago, and Steve McLendon pitting on lap 13. So Steve McLendon has really just been putting it down. Absolutely stunning to bring himself all the way back into contention like this and to be back in the lead.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's look at the lap times where they've stood. I mean, Caffrey's been running the faster lap times. McLendon's been running pretty consistent, though, so you see the gap is closing a bit. It's not... We'll see long-term what can happen here between Caffrey and McLendon, because you see that Caffrey is closing the gap slowly but surely, and, you know, we'll see if that gap can come the rest of the way through. The GTPs, I mean, you see Aiden Amaro there in the background. I mean, the gap's over a minute between cars, and Mr. Matt Parasini is in the car now in that number 24 Cadillac in third place, and we'll see very quickly how that bluey car handles under Matt Parasini, a driver who readily admitted that he hasn't ran the most laps here, and we'll see how quickly he can get the car under him here to get moving. I'm thinking that he should be pretty okay, and we'll see what happens here as he gets this number 24 underway. The Jeff Gordon number running a Jeff Gordon Foundation livery. I do appreciate that. There is something about that that just sits right with me, and I do appreciate it here. But an hour 15 left to go, Michael. I gotta ask, who could defeat Cruthers between Amaro and Parasini? Of course, Speranza is out and gone. We have lost 4 of our 11 drivers with 7 drivers left in the race.
Well, I'm going to answer that question for you straightforward. At this point, the only person that's going to defeat Cruthers is Cruthers. Amaro, we have yet to see what kind of pace Parasini has, but he's about 2 minutes down. He got handed the car later in the race. He doesn't have the most experience on this track. I'm not saying it's out of the question that for him to pull something crazy and, take this lead, but with a minute and 10-second gap there to Amaro, I think the only person that can really upset Keaton Cruthers' race is Keaton Cruthers. I think if he's able to stay out of his own head and just keep the lap times, where they are, and just, stop himself from overthinking things, overdriving the car, and making any mistakes, then he should be good to go. But we still have another hour and 15 minutes to go. Mental fatigue is going to start to come into play. That's what's nice about Ryan Hyatt and Matt Parasini. They were able to work together. If Keaton Cruthers is here by himself tonight, which I do believe he is, you do have to contemplate that mental fatigue. Aiden Amaro as well, especially in the Acura that's a little bit looser to drive. So honestly, I really think the only person that can really dethrone Keaton is Keaton himself.
Yeah, and you do have the point with talking about the only person who can beat him is himself, and I am going to be curious to see how this ends up long term. But there are drivers in iRacing, and I don't know if Keaton is one of those, but there are drivers in iRacing who are the mad lads who will run 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour races by themselves with no brakes or anything. And I don't know if Keaton is one of those mad lads, but if he is, I respect it here as we're riding on board. And it is starting to get a little cloudy, a little dark here in LeMans. I don't know if rain is expected or if it's just starting to transition time here. I don't know exactly what is happening. Let's actually check our weather tracker here. So 67 degrees, 79% humidity with overcast. So we're starting to get overcast. There's no way that rain is coming, right? There's no way that rain is coming.
Matt was telling us when he was with us that the chance of rain was 4%. So, Steve McLendon is off the track. What happened there?
This is a replay just a second ago, so let's jump back in with Steve McLendon and see if we can tell exactly what happened. I have a feeling he loses it on his own. If I had to, yes, the back end snaps into the wall, smack, and that is fast repair 2 of 2 that I would guess he is going to clock out for the night. As it sits, we're also missing Matt Parasini is very quickly into the pits. What happened with Parasini? I do not have a trigger for anything, but Parasini did 1 lap and went right back into the pits. So, don't know what's happened to him. We'll see if
tire warm up. If he was only out there for a lap, he might have. It's easy to make a. Ooh, that car's done. There's no front right. If they use both their fast repairs with Ryan Hyatt, that car is done.
See if we can get a replay real quick of what happened here. This is Matt Parasini. This is the only trigger I have for this car. So let's see if this is. But that doesn't make sense to me why the front end would be gone. So, but this is Matt Parasini driving.
He did say that he was having some issues with turn 15, which we just saw him there, but he also had some issues with Arnage turn 20, so maybe we missed an incident up here at Arnage.
I'm going to let this replay play through for a second and see if I can't figure out what just happened.
He's showing up as out. No, he's showing back up. Maybe he did have a fast repair left.
Let's see. So I'm not
coming through Corvette right here.
I sent my wonderful friend Ryan Hyatt a message and just very politely said what the actual just happened. So I'm trying to see if I can find out here. This is Parasini.
Yeah, because he had his front end back, no problem, when he came into the pits just now. And he just missed his pit box.
Yeah, so I don't know what this is. I can't tell.
What's going on?
I can't tell
yeah,
what's happening there.
We're going to have to get some information from Ryan Hyatt there. We got him back on track, so, you know, whatever we saw, we definitely... I don't know about you, but I saw the right front end just completely demolished. No tire there. Obviously, the whole front of the car was gone. It did not look drivable. It looked like at least a fast repair.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that was a fast repair. And also, I'm going to quote Ryan Hyatt. He said the brakes were like, nope, not right now, LOL. So...
Ooh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, so basically the car said, I don't care, I'm not doing this tonight, and proceeded to not do it tonight.
Yeah, but that doesn't really make too much sense. Cold tires is one thing, but cold brakes? Ryan Hyatt had it out there, you know, for the first hour and a half, almost 2 hours of the race. Yeah, 2 hours of the race, I forgot, it's 2.4.
Right? I don't know what's happened, so I tell you what, YouTube chat, we're not missing a lot here, so I'm going to very politely just click a couple of fast forward buttons here and see if I can't get to a moment where I can see what happened if it's not going to take us too long.
Yeah, I just want to know now, because that was some damage.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we didn't get that you didn't get a notification for it, because it looked like it was heavy damage.
Yeah, that's what I'm really trying to look at. Like, I didn't get a trigger for anything, so I can't tell exactly what happened. Now, this is the
Rick
last
Waite
trigger
going
I
around
have.
here.
This is Rick Waite going around. This was just a minute ago, so I don't know.
He's able to keep it out of the wall. The sand trap there saved him. Moving it along.
So this is this. So we're gonna very politely do a little bit of backing up here and see if we can't get to it. So I'm gonna go here.
Yeah, if you
Parasini. Yeah, YouTube chat. I know this isn't the best thing ever, but
nothing there.
see, because here he has the front end, and this is just a second, like a couple seconds different from where we were before. So I don't know.
So maybe there's a glitch.
I don't know. I'm very confused.
Because Ryan Hyatt told you that there was an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. After chicanes, hard right-hander after the swinging left, so second hard right. I'm going to be honest with you, Ryan Hyatt, if you're listening. That doesn't tell me where that's at on the track, because that's about half of the corners on this track. However, he says, scratch it, he forgot there was a corner there. So, Matt Parasini, sir, forgot there was a corner.
Yeah.
Which happens.
And just think about all the grief he was giving Ryan Hyatt, and he comes out on his first lap and does that. Ryan, if you're listening, I would go ahead and throw all the grief you can right back at Matt Parasini.
I will tell you right now, everything I know about Ryan Hyatt, he is throwing it back and then some. He's having a hell of a time with it. He is just sending it around and enjoying himself right now. He's probably ecstatic, and I guarantee you that Matt Parasini is going to yell at me later, but it's okay, because just remember, Matt, what you said earlier.
I mean, Matt was with us for quite a while. He said quite a bit, so...
I mean, yeah, so, oh well. He can figure it out what he said. I don't know. An hour, 7 minutes to go.
I appreciate Matt coming to talk to us, though. Every time that I've ever asked Matt a question, whether it's obviously tonight or any time that I've done the Gen 4 with you and just needed some sort of information, Matt Parasini's always had my back there, so I appreciate it, Matt.
Matt is one of the guys that if you need info, he will give you the info. He does not mind a bit to be the one to give out the information. Now, the question becomes, is he keeping some information for himself, though? Because he gives us the info for the broadcast, but he's probably keeping a little something to himself, so that way he can use it.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta keep some things tight to the vest, don't you? You gotta have a little bit of strategy. You gotta have a little bit of edge. I'm cool with that. I got no problem with that at all. Is Michael Caffrey coming in? Every time he just kind of peels off, but I guess it's just the line he's running. It just looks like he's going to peel into the pits, but he just keeps faking me out. Steve McLendon did end up pitting, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that he used that second fast repair.
Yeah.
Yep, front of that car looks nice.
I was going to say, it looks like he's used that second fast repair, and I would be surprised if he didn't. But then again, he's averaging 1 an hour. He should make it to the end of the race without too much issue. So we'll keep our eyes on that here as we're an hour, 5, and 47 seconds to the end of this race now. And everybody's just running laps at this point. Everybody's running basically time trials. You can see the track map in the top right. It's fairly spread out, so everyone is just really trying to run consistent, comfortable laps. And pretty much the goal right now is you ran over an hour of racing. You need to just keep the car on the track, keep the wheels under it, and that's all you can ask for, is that. You don't need to ask for much more. Just keep the car under you, keep things going. This is the boring bit of endurance racing, is when things just get very lull and it's all on you to not make a mistake.
Yeah, where everything kind of spreads out. You have that lull, like you said, in between. It's really the last 15, 20 minutes that things start to heat back up as we see Cruthers coming through to lap McLendon. Obviously, the GTP is so much more fast than the GT3 car, so he's just got so much more pace advantage, making it look so easy. But believe me, behind the wheel of that car, it is not easy for him to be able to just sit here and just put the time in and not make any mistakes and still have another hour left to go. Man, he is just absolutely dominating this race so far.
He's doing a very, very good job. I'm going to jump back to Rick Waite, because I think Rick Waite is going to start to feel a little bit of pressure from this Mustang right here of Ben Harcum. Ben Harcum currently about 3 seconds out from Rick Waite as they sit, and that gap is continuing to close at a pretty quick pace. But of course, Ben Harcum has taken 3 pit stops, whereas Rick Waite has only taken 2 here. So we'll see how that kind of affects the battle here. We'll keep our eyes on this GT3 battle, because I think this is our closest battle on track as it sits, because Amaro and Parasini have a couple minute gap actually between them as it stands. A minute 15 is the gap between Keaton Cruthers and Aiden Amaro, and then from Aiden Amaro to Matt Parasini is about 3 minutes the difference. So pretty significant pull there as it stands, but Ben Harcum continuing to close up on Rick Waite. The gap now 2 seconds, and we'll see here how the Mustang can get along on the BMWs. Just within slipstream range of being able to use that down the Mulsanne to reel in a little bit that BMW, get a little bit closer to him, and try to make a pass somewhere. But I don't think that's going to be until they hit the Mulsanne straight the next lap around.
Yeah, I do want to point out, like you said, Rick Waite has only pit twice. So if you look at the lap comparison, last lap, Rick Waite had a 4:05.787, whereas Ben Harcum, who's pit 3 times, as you also mentioned, a 4:02.738. So a solid 3-second gap there just in lap time alone on the last lap. So there's definitely a pace advantage here for Ben Harcum on fresher rubber, you would have to assume. But Rick Waite, up 3 spots from his start. He's run a very clean race. He's having a very solid entry tonight. So, a little loose there coming out of turn 15 there for Ben Harcum. But Rick Waite, he's run a very solid race tonight. And no matter what happens from here, he's got to be proud of himself.
Yeah, I mean, the big key is you just got to survive. It's an endurance race. So really, as long as you survive, that's a check mark there. You don't necessarily need to win. You need to get to the end first, and then everything else kind of becomes moot point there. Because if you make it to the end, then you're going to be doing pretty well. Because 4 drivers haven't made it to the end, with 3 of them being in your own class. That's a big statement, because it shows the challenge of Le Mans as it stands. So we'll keep our eyes on everything as this develops. The gap now 2 seconds here for Ben Harcum, who is continuing to just slowly close that gap to Rick Waite and get his way moving forward here. Checking back on the track map, they do have Matt Parasini, who is starting to join them from company. He's still several seconds off the gap, but he is starting to get in the mix, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that gap there and see how it closes as they come down into this last sector of the track.
Coming through Corvette corners right here. And this is going to be a flat-out open section. A little left-hand kink here. Past the pit lane on your right, and you come into the Ford chicanes. This is probably one of the slowest parts of the track. Second gear there, down first gear, and then open right back up as you pass the pits, pass over the stop finish line, and that is going to bring Matt Parasini right on their tail. I believe if Matt Parasini lines up correctly, he's going to be perfectly fine to pass them on the Mulsanne straight, but he might have a little bit of pace to get them before that, as we see our race leader Steve McLendon is in the pits.
And something happened as soon as we clicked the camera away. Oh my gosh, let's go back here. Let's get a quick replay here, because I had a thing saying that the race leader had crashed, and I did not expect this to happen the way it just happened here. And you see the big send from Rick Waite, and Ben Harcum just cruises right around him there and goes through.
A little bit of an overdriving issue there for Rick Waite, but it looks like he's really trying to extend these stints out, so it might come to help him out towards the later half of this race, but right now he is starting to struggle. We see Michael Caffrey,
and this is that trigger I had saying that our race leader had crashed.
What's going on here?
He just pulls over and stops in the Mulsanne. I'm not sure what happened to him there. That was a very weird moment, but now he finds himself in 4th place, losing distance. So we're now 6 cars left out of 11.
Is he? I mean, he's not showing. He's showing us in pits, so technically he's not out yet. But maybe he had some sort of in-home issue. I hope everything's okay. It's very strange to see your leader just stop on the side of the road and just tow to the pits like that. So I hope everything's okay with there.
Yeah, usually if something like that happens, that becomes some sort of technical issue or software issue. So I gotta wonder what that actually was. That was a very, very weird. I'm not used to seeing things like that, but we'll see if Michael Caffrey gets back out in the race. But now he's just battling from a deficit at this point. McLendon, just cruising out ahead. Our battle here between Harcum and Rick Waite is now 25 seconds, or 5 seconds between them, 25 seconds ahead. Keaton Cruthers now coming into the pits, our race leader.
Yeah, Keaton's just been completely dominating this race, just keeping his head down, not making any mistakes. Out there just running quality laps. So this has been a solid race for him. And honestly, he's going to get out of this pit without even having to worry about Aiden Amaro coming around. Parasini being a lap down. So this should be pretty easy, pretty calm for him. He doesn't have to rush. He doesn't have to worry about anything.
That's, just nice, clean in, done, and out. That's all he's got to do. It's, yeah, that's all he's got to do, just in, out, done. We'll see how he goes, and it looks like that is Caffrey now officially blinking in the pit lane. So, and now he's registered as out. So we have lost Caffrey, who was running a very dominating race.
Yeah, GT3 race leader. He was just absolutely not. Parasini. What's Parasini doing out in the sand right there? Just taking some photos out on the beach.
he is running the Bluey car, so it would make sense if he wants to run a little bit of beach time here. Let's get a replay real quick of what just happened there. He's running with the Audi, and it looks like on the brakes there, the Audi, of course, being Steve McLendon, and ooh.
He overdrive that chicane. That was just a simple mistake there by Parasini. He overtook the Audi and then overdrove the second of the 4 chicanes. Just carrying too much speed, trying to make the overtake.
I mean, I get trying to do that, but also you got to remember, as the faster car, you're going to have plenty of speed to get around, so you don't necessarily need to do that into that chicane. You can back out of it and just hang out for a minute. You don't have to explore your way around there. Now, here's what's going to be interesting for me. Let's jump up here. Look at Keaton Cruthers getting around McLendon here. McLendon, the only GT3 on track at the moment, with Harcum and Waite in the pits. But who is the head of Cruthers? Well, let's just pan the camera down a little bit here. And it is going to be Mr. Matt Parasini, who is running ahead here. And Cruthers is about to lap Parasini and put him a lap down.
Yeah, I don't know if Parasini saw the TV out there and just thought he wanted to pull some donuts, or I don't know what happened there, but Parasini really just overdrove that corner, and he's going to be second lap down now. So I hope Ryan Hyde has given him plenty of grief in the chat.
Oh, you know Ryan Hyde is ripping him a new one. I have no doubt that Ryan Hyde is making sure that Matt Parasini is aware, and it's probably part of why Matt Parasini is having a little bit of a struggle to drive right now, is because Ryan Hyde's probably just letting him know how it is. And I tell you what, if he's not, well, me and Ryan Hyatt need to have a conversation later. 55 minutes, you could dog him. You could absolutely dog him. And
I see what you did there.
Really
I see what you did there.
Tell you what, let's see if we can't get our man Ryan Hyatt to jump in and join us here. We'll see what we can do to find him around. We'll see what we've got going. Where Ryan Hyatt manages to hide himself. I don't actually see him, so I don't know. I'm sure he's hiding somewhere. We'll find him eventually here as Matt Parasini goes around yet again. Keaton Cruthers still hasn't passed him, surprisingly, but this is, ironically, our closest battle on track to put someone down. And as I say that, Matt Parasini, what have you done? This is not what happened. Let's find...
If you look off in the distance here at the end, you'll see there is a giant TV. Oh, we kind of missed it, but there is a giant TV there. I think he was just trying to watch himself on TV.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. It's a... Why not? I mean, there's not a lot going on, so you can watch the TV, enjoy yourself. That is a classic thing. And we've seen NASCAR drivers do that before, so...
We've seen it in Formula 1 as well.
Yeah. Max Verstappen. Oh, who did that? How do you know about that? Oh, I'm watching the TVs as I drive. Like, oh, okay.
That happens when you have a car so dominant. I'm sure Lewis Hamilton was doing that in the mid-teens when he had the best hybrid turbo engine with Mercedes.
Honestly, he probably was, and that's just because that Mercedes car was that crazy. It would not surprise me. So, I miss the days of, the Mercedes being good, but I do really like where the Formula One world is right now with how competitive the cars are to each other. I mean, I like when it's a crapshoot and I don't know who's actually going to win the race. It's kind of fun to go in not knowing.
Yeah, I agree with you, but with Adrian Newey signing that giant contract with Ferrari, that's going to make things a little more redundant coming up, I believe. Unless McLaren can really do something, but I don't see Red Bull improving from where they are. I just see them kind of almost not, if not falling back, just staying stagnant. But that's beside the point. That's another conversation for another day. But right now we're going to go ahead and follow with Aiden Amaro, who is very interestingly not flat out.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand exactly.
Is he conserving fuel?
That's only thing I can think of is that there's a little bit of fuel conservation going, but it's very, very hard
Generally,
to
when
tell.
generally when you're conserving fuel, you do that coming into a corner. You don't do it on a straight. You don't lift and get back on. Like here, you would lift off and then get back on. You know, you would just like say your braking point is at the 100 meter board. You would lift at the 250 meter board and just coast for that 150 meters and then brake at your normal braking point. You know, that's generally how you would conserve fuel. But seeing him kind of lifting and pushing down and just like kind of rocking the throttle pedal like that was a little strange. Not sure what's going on with Aiden there, and he just completely missed the apex there.
Yeah, and his last hit was on lap 23, so I wouldn't think there's a fuel issue involved. That almost seems like it might be a hardware issue. Just looking at it.
It looks like we might have had one of those with Michael Caffrey earlier, so I mean maybe there's a bug going around. I'm not sure. We know we've been dealing with technical difficulties tonight. Maybe it's just one of those nights.
Yeah, here's the thing. We don't have to deal with some of the hassles that you have to deal with in real life racing, like engine failures and different stuff. But you do have to deal with a bit of the hassle of, other failures that can happen, which would be, for example, having a failure of your wheel, having internet connection issues, having, a number of things that we've seen tonight. So you've just got to kind of keep up with that and watch. So it doesn't surprise me to see some drivers dropping out. I think the thing that really stinks about this many drivers dropping out is that our driver count was a little bit lower to begin with, which again isn't a bad thing. Triple Bypass has a lot of good drivers, but you just sometimes have those moments.
Yeah, I know for sure. I've experienced a few things before. I went to Load Sub Pedals. We see, Mr. Ryan Hyatt. How you doing, bud?
Hanging in there. What about y'all?
Interested in hearing what you have to say about your teammate, Mr. Parasini. He seemed to be giving you quite a bit of grief there in your stints.
We've been giving each other a little bit of a hard time where we've been hanging out. It's been fun.
How was your race earlier? Aiden, really struggling there.
It was okay. I just kept trying to over push, and so I was like, screw it, I'm going to stay out on old tires. That way I force myself to not push. And I don't know. It's just been new track. Well, at least new to me. I've never driven here. I bought it this morning and just
that's what Matt was saying, is that you guys both bought this track today. So what was your experience with getting to grips with the track? How many laps did you do? What was your way to kind of learn the corners? Walk us through that.
I don't know how many laps I did. It wasn't that many. I just was honestly trying to send it as hard as I could and hope for the best, and I figured out where I couldn't and wouldn't slide. Then I was just over pursuing, seeing what the guys in front of me were doing. So then I just was like, all right, I'm going to get back to what I was doing by myself, because obviously I wasn't catching anybody. So I was like, well, I'll just do what I know works for me and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously mistakes happen. Whatever, there's GTP cars, new track for you. It is what it is. You still had a pretty solid run there, so it wasn't like you were that far off pace. Obviously, just a couple circumstantial things there. But how did the race start go for you? When we saw a little bit of blinking there from Antonio Speranza, did that kind of affect your start in any way?
Yeah, I kind of was just like, all right, I'm gonna let him do his thing. I'm not getting up in that. So, but I don't know. I've had computer issues, so I get it. Everybody in this league knows I've got computer issues for the most part. Matt just said rain's coming.
I knew it.
No.
I knew it.
Yep, I see it on the radar now.
Oh, That's going to spice things up quite a bit. Is that going to bring our leader into the pits for some fresh, wet tires? Well, they probably got a little bit to go, but this is going to be a little interesting because he last pit on, lap 24? We're on lap 27, so that splits his stint here. you don't want to go too early on wet tires because you're just going to burn them up and then they're going to be completely useless once the track actually gets wet. If you don't get enough rain on the track, then it's kind of pointless to switch over to the wets. So it's going to be kind of tough for these guys to really fill this one out and see where the crossover point is.
Yeah, I'm looking at I don't know, the weather tab that they've added, and it's in the top left corner up there, and this actually making me happy because there's a radar because of where I like storm chasing and stuff, so I'm sitting here like, ooh.
Oh yeah, you sponsored a race a couple weeks ago, the Tennessee Storm Chasers.
Yep,
this past week.
Yep, that's my Facebook page. I don't get to get out anymore really, but I still like keep it going from the house and update when there's warnings and severe weather going on throughout Tennessee. It's just fun to kind of keep tabs on as a little hobby on the side.
Now, is that just a Facebook page? Do you have a YouTube?
I have a YouTube account, but I don't have any videos on it. So, I mean, I normally, if I'm bored at work, instead of just using the radar app I use, I'll get on YouTube and watch some of the other guys storm chase, and that way at least I kind of get a fix of it again. But
yeah, storm chasing, that's got to be interesting, man. I've seen a couple of tornadoes and stuff in real life from a distance, and I can't imagine going out of my way to get as close as possible. That just takes another kind of crazy.
Yeah, I hope I'm not breaking like PG rules or anything, but there's one night I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, came back to Knoxville, had gotten a bit ahead of this one storm that I was on, and I pulled in a pizza joint, and my buddy that went with me, he woke me up, he was like, "Hey Ryan, there's a cop here," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he was like, and so I rolled down my window, and the cop was like, if you don't mind me asking, it's 3 in the morning, what are y'all fellers doing here at this restaurant?" And I was like, "Well, been down in Chattanooga storm chasing, and I needed a little bit of a nap. We got far enough ahead of it to where I can kind of get like a 10-15 minute nap." And he was like, "Well, you got more nads than I do. Have a nice night." Drives off.
Hey, there you go, man.
Way to do it, honestly.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's I think the craziest I've ever seen. I saw the backside of a hurricane one time, and that was enough for me. I wasn't even anywhere near it, but close enough to see it. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, when I was in infantry school, we had to do a 20-kilometer hike, and I don't remember what the name of the hurricane was, but I think it was after it hit tropical storm status. We had to do a 20-kilometer hike, and that was no bueno, flooding everywhere.
Yeah, you never want to mess with tropical storms. I'm down here in the southeastern on the coast, so quite familiar with that. But me and my wife like to move a little further inland and north when these storms come around.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you on that.
A little too close. I think I'm a 10-minute drive to the beach, so yeah, if we get a hurricane coming in, we ain't sticking around unless we have to.
I would like to experience it one time. I know that's crazy, but I just want one time, and then I'll have my hurricane fixed. I could sit around and chase tornadoes a lot if I had the time or the money or whatever. Then I could do that a lot more. But I just want one time with a hurricane, and I think that'd be enough for me on those.
Well, I mean, we've sat through a couple low, and not to say that any hurricane is not dangerous. You got to be very careful, especially with incoming tides and whatnot. You just got to be generally informed and understand what you're going through. But generally speaking, even though a tier 1 or tier 2 hurricane aren't as strong, you can kind of ride them out a little easier than obviously your 3, 4s, and 5s. But we've gone through a couple little hurricanes and they weren't too bad. But like I said, we've been lucky, so.
Well, that's always good. Matt's barking at me because I'm not on team radio, and he obviously can't hear all teams. he's like, how close is the rain?
Well, how close
yeah, this is
the
definitely going to
rain?
be interesting there.
This is funny.
Also,
lap.
one of the things to remember with the iRacing weather system is it can rain. We've got a big enough track here with LeMans that it can rain at just certain parts of the track and not the entire track. Don't forget that. You can literally have rain for just a section of this track and not the entire track. So I'm curious to know how this looks. Mr. Ryan Hyatt, if you'll send me a screenshot of what the weather looks like right now, it would be much appreciated, because I'm curious to know.
Let's see. I will turn it off the loop here. Hang on one sec.
I'm falling around with Parasini
I
right
can
now.
do this a decent way.
Well, while you guys are doing that, Aiden Amaro has come into the pits. I think it's strategy-wise, this is kind of a gray area. Obviously, you don't want to run out of fuel, but you don't want to pit for fresh tires and fuel and then have to come back in, in a lap or two and just lose that free pit stop there. Keaton Cruthers last pit on lap 24, so he's going to be running into that problem here soon as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what these GTP cars really do to, kind of hold on. Looking back into the GT3 cars, I'm showing Steve McLendon in the pits, but I'm not. Oh, he's coming into the pits right now. There he is. So,
One sec, I'm going to trim up this picture for you, though it's not a lot of nonsense.
Alrighty, let's see here. So I would try to pull it up, but then it pulls up the entire iRacing overlay, and it gets real mad. Morrow,
Aiden!
what are you doing?
He's probably got fresh rubber. He caught that inside curbing there and got a little bit too antsy on the loud pedal there. Able to save it though. No hard feelings, no damage done. So Aiden's all right. We see our current GT3 class leader in the pits, Ben Harcum, coming through now.
Ben's leading GT3s?
No, I'm sorry. Steve McLendon is in the pits. He is leading the GT3s. Ben Harcum is in second place. He's coming through right now. He has got, trying to see what the live gap is, about a minute behind, but I don't think that's quite correct because Steve McLendon is coming out of the pits right now, so it's probably a little bit closer than that. No, live timing saying about a minute and 4 seconds. There's a minute, so it is dropping a little bit. We see Keaton Cruthers in the background there. He is staying out for another lap, so he is going to try to stick it out as long as he possibly can. This really just throws a wrench in your strategy. If we get any sort of rain that's substantial at all, it is going to be very tough for these drivers to really make those decisions on when to come in and which tire. Do you want to stay on the softs? Do you want to go to the wets? It's not as easy as you might think.
If it rains enough, we could end up with a situation where none of our drivers finish this race. They could all wreck out. If you get rain in the Mulsanne corner or down the Mulsanne straight, not the other half of the track, and you can't go into, you can't go on wets because so much of the track is still slick, and you get this weird half crossover, half dry period, you could have drivers make not the right decision, and it cause a very bad day very quickly.
Keaton Cruthers just still looks like he's on his A game, just absolutely handling that first Mulsanne chicane just like it's nothing.
All right, let's see what Ryan.
It has actually gotten a little closer since that screenshot, and I don't know. It's looking like if there's stuff that would be, I guess, if you're looking at the top of the light blue, where I'm going to assume that's north. If there's stuff to the south, to the left, then yeah, we'll probably see some. We might see some rain right around the finish. That'd be weird.
It would be very weird. It does look like something is coming. The question is just, does it hit quickly, or when does it hit? And it kind of, I can't tell. There's something on the radar around, but I don't know if it'll hit the track. So we might get a little lucky here. Or by we, I mean the drivers. I like when rain mixes things up.
I would love to see a wet course just drop out of nowhere, just throw a complete, just throw this race up on top of its head. I would love to see that right now. see how Keaton Cruthers reacts, see how Aiden Amaro and Matt Parasini react in the GTPs, and then our 3 GT3 cars. I would love to see how they're able to comprehend it. I know that Mustang is going to be a handful, but it's not too bad in the rain from the little bit that I've driven it. That mid-engine Audi is going to be tough, though. That would be very tough to handle on the Mulsanne Straight. If it, like you said, if it rains back there and you don't have wets and it's dry the rest of the track, that Audi is going to be the toughest car to handle on this track, aside from the Acura, I believe.
I mean, it'd be fun, but it would be hard.
Well, what's your definition of fun?
I mean, it'd be fun for me, not fun for the person in the driver's seat. So,
yeah, fair enough.
You know how that goes, though. That's part of it. That is part of racing here. As we see Cruthers going into the pit lane now, so we do have him going through. And to tell you what, Mijor, Ryan Hyatt.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your experience with road racing. Did you come straight to GTPs, or have you ran GT3s for a while? Kind of tell me about your experience a little bit.
I haven't really ran that much road. I like the Mazdas a lot. Just depends on the track. And then one year I did the 24-hour in a GT3 with a couple of buddies, and I did the all-night stint, so like 8 hours at night. And I did the same this year with Matt, Ben, and Ollie. We all ran the GTP this year and the Cadillac, and that was pretty fun. But that's about really it. I don't really do much road course racing or practice much on road.
Did you say you ran the whole night?
Yeah, from like 10 till 5 or 11 till 5, something like that. I think this past year they wouldn't let me run an 8-hour stint, so I did 6.
You mad lad. Why would you run 8 or 6 hours period straight?
I mean, let them sleep. I'm used to my sleep schedule being messed up between if my weather page is going nuts or just in general. Sometimes when I don't sleep that good, so I'm used to being up late, and so I was like, well, y'all can keep your sleep schedule and I'll just unbalance myself and the next day. So
but
I mean, I gotta ask the question: What do you do for bathroom breaks? Like, if you're in a car for six hours,
as soon as I pull in, like as soon as it comes to a stop, like I already have the rig because I've got a little clamp for where my wheel sits. I automatically have that undone. Like as soon as I hit pit lane, because obviously I'm not steering hard, and then just go sprint to the bathroom and come back. Normally it times out about right with tires and fuel.
Fair enough, man.
It
Fair play to
worked.
you, bro.
The only thing that sucks is I've got to have warm Red Bull later on in the night.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, warm Red Bull is not something that I enjoy.
No.
So, hold on. So, do you have like people that you talk to during that, or are you just straight up like in your own zone running, and then when they get up in the morning, they jump in the call, and you're like, "Here's the status update on everything that happened. Here's your card back. I'm going to bed. Have fun."
This year we had. Hang on one second.
Trying to give his teammate a little bit of information here.
He's asking whether still trying to see if he needs the wets or the dries, and I'm like, I don't know.
Stay on the dries.
So this year we made a little group chat for all 4 of us, and Ben stayed up late this year, and I was just jamming. I've got a Bluetooth speaker that's like a bar speaker right here beside where I was sitting, and I was actually jamming a little while ago when it was my stint, but
What do you like to listen to? What do you like to listen to?
When I'm driving like this, upbeat, like EDM stuff, I guess is the best way to put it. I listen to a little bit of anything other than that, but for this kind of stuff, just EDM kind of keep me alert, something upbeat, and I guess hypes. That way I'm not falling like sleepy.
Have you ever fallen asleep during a stint?
Nope.
Do you
Not
know
yet.
anyone who has?
There's a first time for everything.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a first time for everything. Not anybody that I know. But yeah, no, I've almost fallen asleep on the road before whenever I was younger, but that wasn't good. I was on a long haul delivery, but that's a different story for a different time.
Woo.
Yeah, you don't want to fall asleep in the in the middle of a no.
No. He was up in West Virginia, and all of a sudden I was looking at a guardrail, and I told my grandpa, hey, because I work for family on this, like as my main job, and I was like, hey, I feel like I need a nap, and he used to get kind of antsy about it, and finally one day that happened, and I was like, hey, I just woke up going at the guardrail, I'm going to pull over, and ever since then he has never said he's never questioned it again. So,
Hey, safety first, man.
Yep.
Matt Parasini seems like he is really feeling it right now.
Oh, I didn't even look at the lap times. Yeah, he's getting it.
Last lap there, 3:33.5, 3:33.6, as we see Ben Harpen coming into the pits. That rear wheel is still spinning. Love seeing that.
Is he just holding the throttle, I assume?
I would assume it's a glitch. He's probably going for tires.
Well, now it stopped, so whatever that was, it's through, so...
No, that was a quick stop. He must not have taken tires. As we see Parasini going through there, Ben Harcum coming out into third place, so that means Rick Waite has passed him. He is up ahead a little ways, but we also know that Rick Waite has only pit 3 times, so Rick Waite is definitely on a different strategy from the rest of the GT3 cars tonight, and we'll have to see. I mean, obviously he's going to finish on the podium, but we'll have to see how far up the podium that is going to get him.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how that lands. We're at the 30-minute to go mark now, so this is where I think we're going to start seeing the mix of strategy, the mix of decisions, and some of the interesting things start to play in. This is where I think this is where the race really starts to pick up. Now, unfortunately, I think some of the gaps are so spread out. I can't imagine that Amaro is going to be able to make up a minute 41. Like, that's just, I don't think that's realistic. However, I think there is a little bit of something to give in the GT3 still with 30 minutes to go. Is it 49 seconds? Possibly not, but there could be something to give there, and we'll just have to wait and see how the race plays out here as it stands, as everyone continues to go through and run here. Again, we've hit this lull moment where it's just there's so few cars on such a big track that not a lot's going on. And again, I don't fault anyone for that. Sometimes it just happens. The unfortunate part is just that we went through that natural process of drivers DNFing as the races went along.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen on a long endurance race like that, and unfortunately we did have a smaller field tonight than I believe we usually would have, but it's kind of an intimidating combination, you know, the endurance race at LeMans, the GT3s and GTP multi-class, it's intimidating, that's for sure, at least it is to me. You see Parasini coming up here on Rick. I think the closest battle, the only real true battle we have going on here is going to be between Ben Harcum and Rick Waite for that second and third spot in the GT3 class. I think I have to agree with you with Ryan, with you and Matt Parasini being down a lap. I think it's just asking a little bit too much to get that lap back and get back up into second. But I mean, I think it's asking too much for Aiden Amaro to catch back up to Keaton Cruthers. I think tonight's, real dominating run has been with Keaton Cruthers. He hasn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know who either 1809 or 033 is. I guess 33 is Aiden.
Yeah, the 033, the Acura is Aiden Amaro, and the 809 is Keaton Cruthers, the GTP and overall leader.
I don't know. I was kind of watching both of them to see what I could learn, because obviously I don't do this that much, and it sounded like something was off a little bit with the 033, but I could be wrong. I hope nothing is. Obviously, I don't want ill will on anybody. But
actually, it's funny that you say that. We've seen some interesting moments from the 33 car. We've seen him kind of lifting off the gas in strange places, pulling off to the side at the beginning of the Mulsanne straight, just kind of coasting. Like we've definitely seen some interesting things going on. So it's funny that you say that because we've noticed a few things too.
yeah, I don't know if there is something going on with the car or what. But yeah, I don't know. It just depends really. I'm still looking at this rain. It's definitely coming. If they pit for wet tires and it doesn't rain a lot, then that might be our only chance to maybe get second. But I don't know. It's actually come, and it's just still not on the like zoom map for like the actual track itself yet.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely on the horizon, but it just might not get here in time, or it might, throw a wrench into everybody's plans. I do want to point out Rick Waite has pit for the 4th time, so that has moved Ben Harcum back up into 2nd place.
And Matt's been asking. I think he's going to pit this lap, if I'm remembering correctly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we haven't had any rain, he wants to stay on slicks.
Oh, yeah. I think he's going to stay on slicks. Because I don't know. My guess is if it's going to be the last 10 minutes if it even gets here.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it even going to get here? Because it kind of sounds like the way you're talking, it's not going to get here.
Matt's going off about something. I don't know what, but he's going off about something. I don't know. It's like a very thin strip. It's moving along at a consistent rate. And if it was real life, I'd say it's like maybe 20 to 15 minutes out, honestly. But that's not on the zoom either, so I can't tell how far away it is based off the square.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I don't think there's anybody else I want to talk to about this than you, with all the experience you got with storm chasing and whatnot.
I mean, I don't know. There's definitely something coming, but I don't see it getting here without maybe 10 minutes or less in the race if it does. Uh-oh!
Don't hit!
Yeah.
Have you guys used both of your fast repairs?
No. Luckily, I think this lap he is having to pit, so...
We never saw the incident. Was there an incident that took the front end of the car off?
Oh, yeah.
We never were able to see that. What happened there?
That same turn, he forgot that it was there. He eventually told me, he was like, man, I just forgot that turn was there.
Okay, so he's definitely having issues with turn 15 there at the end of Mulsanne Straight.
I guess that's that one, but
there is an interesting kink there right before you come into that sharp right-hander. Is a high-speed kink that you kind of have to, not really trail brake, but kind of sort of trail brake, because you obviously have to get pretty hard on the brakes pretty quickly, and when you're trail braking, it's the exact opposite. But he's coming in. I don't see any damage on the front of that car, though, so it looks like he got away with that one.
Yeah, he got away a bit with it. It popped up on my end, wheel damage, so...
Oh, okay. And
We'll see what Parasini got away with. This is what just happened to Aiden Amaro. I got a note for him running off track, and
that was a big hit. That was a big hit.
The wheels hanging off on that.
What just happened?
That is Aiden Amaro binned his car into Indianapolis, I believe.
That is showing Matt up into second place.
Yeah.
Because Aiden had to tow, so yeah, that's gonna move you guys into second place though. So there you go. There's one down. Let's see if the rain comes, and that might help you guys out.
Wow, I was not expecting that. That's a significant turn of events there. So Aiden Amaro losing focus with 22 minutes to go, and has now had to tow through. But of course, I don't think Amaro's used a fast repair yet, so we should be able to fast repair and get back out. But we'll see what the gap is. So Mr. Ryan Hyatt, you might want to give Parasini a heads up that he's now in P2 and is going to have a very, very fast Mr. Aiden Amaro and an Acura, the AAA, right behind him, probably not too far off, and is going to be very hungry.
Yeah, I kind of gave him a heads up that supposedly something happened.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how long, because you said it was what, in Indianapolis, so that's probably a 2-minute tow, 2.5-minute tow.
At minimum.
Yeah. So well, no, because that's the closer side of the track. It's probably about 1:45 there. It's hard to tell really, but yeah, no, that's definitely gonna cause a lot of problems for him.
Yeah, that's about the move you want it. Matt, keep the car on the track, please.
That's
Big
what I'm
snap
thinking.
there. Big snap there going through the first chicane down the Mulsanne Straight and trying to hold on to it. He gets it away, and he's just kind of being very timid through Mulsanne, down the Mulsanne Straight here, going into the second Mulsanne chicane, and is trying to hold on to it. But I think
got a bit of a
Amaro
weave
should
going.
come back out.
He just came over the radio and was like, full send. Oh boy.
He does know he's behind by 5.5 minutes to the race leader, right?
He's on one. He is on one. I can tell you that much from the team comms here.
So this is the incident, or this is the corner that he keeps having issues with. So you got to kind of ease in. He handled that pretty well. Locked up the front right wheel a little bit, but not too bad. Better than sliding off the corner.
I think it's the next one. I think.
Okay, so that would be Indianapolis that he's having an issue with. Turn 19.
At least that was the first one.
Hey Bradley, can we ride on board here? See what's going on?
Yeah, let's ride on board with him here. Let's jump in the cockpit and see how he does. All right, so he's nailing that into the slight right key, and now you're there.
Yeah, it's okay. So here is a tough corner. You have to slide all the way down. Okay, it's a very slow corner there. A little loose on the rear end, but he came out of that no problem. And then this is all flat out for here, so no issues.
And I'm showing Parasini back in P3. It looks like Amaro came out before Parasini could really get all the way back around on him. So my timing sheet has kicked him back into P3. I don't know if that's correct or not, though. We'll refresh here in a moment and make sure we ride on board.
Yeah, right now it's showing 1 minute and 24 seconds behind Amaro.
Yeah, Matt said that he got out before he could get back to him.
Yeah, so he was able to tow, quick repair, and get right back out there. So Aiden Amaro made that mistake, but I'm sure he's going to be focused for the rest of this race. I did see him make a mistake here in the 4 chicanes earlier, but that looked like it was pretty nice and tidy.
It was. It looks like he's keeping it together for the most part and doing pretty well of keeping the car moving. I mean, he seems comfortable for sure. So he is slowly reeling in Aiden Amaro. 1.5 minutes the gap with 18 minutes to go. And he's reeling him
That's
in
going to be a
here little
slowdown.
bit. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't a slowdown.
That was definitely cutting the track quite a bit there. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've had quite a few issues with slowdowns recently. They have been not really working correctly. You get a second slowdown and have to lift off for 5 seconds.
Look at the amount of off tracks that have been awarded. I'm showing Amaro has 17. Parasini has 13.
Now, is that going to count Parasini and Ryan Hyatt together? Ryan, do you know how many off tracks you had?
I think together we've got, I don't know, it's saying incidents 14,9 whenever I go to entries for us. I don't know if that's together or I don't know what it's doing.
Yeah, that is interesting because neither of those end up at 13. Very strange. For all of the amazing things that iRacing has and does, it does have a few glitches here and there. That's for sure.
That is very true. You could say that again.
Yeah, I'd rather not. I absolutely love this service.
There's not.
That said something about rain tires being told, quote unquote, from the crew chief.
Interesting.
Now is that crew chief the app or is that the end game? Oh, Ryan coming around. That's gonna be some rear end damage there for him. That's a rear wing gone actually.
Wait,
Hey,
for
that. Let's see here. That was I'm sorry. That was for Rick. Rick, wait,
Oh,
I keep calling Rick Ryan. That's my fault. And he's got a long ways to go around the track without a rear wing and a trunk. He's got no boot.
Yeah, he said that was the end game. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but he said
no.
that was the end game crew chief that said rain is possible.
Yeah, it's looking very dark at certain areas of the track. So it'll be interesting if it rains like the last 5 minutes and that's it, like the final 2 laps. That'd be hilarious to me.
It would. I don't know if it's gonna, because it's the light blue, which if I'm guessing that their radar, quote unquote, is like real radar, then that means it's very light precipitation. So I don't know if that will require the weather tires or not.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have to wait for the track to actually get wet because, I mean, unless you have a torrential downpour, the track's gonna stay dry. I mean, for at least a few laps, it's not gonna just start pooling up everywhere. So you're not gonna want wet tires for at least a couple laps. So I really, if it doesn't start raining here in the next 5 minutes, I don't think rain, whether it comes or not, is going to be an issue.
Yeah, what's on the backside of the radar isn't even like green or yellow or red, so it's light.
Let's see if Matt is able to take this chicane a little better. Coming through the Dunlop chicane last time around, he completely chopped the nose off of that one, so nice to see him back at it.
Yeah, he's doing well to hold on to it there.
This first section just absolutely just flows. I don't have a ton of experience on it, but I just absolutely love driving this track. Or driving that first section. It just... Between the elevation changes and just the flow of the S's and all the chicanes, I absolutely love it.
This is a classic track that really tests you. It tests your ability to, drive fast and catch these hard braking points in the chicane. It tests your ability to really slow down for the corners. It tests your ability to just be able to go and, handle long tracks with very technical sections. I enjoy it.
I think it's a beautiful track. Honestly, like I said, my first real experience with it was week 13's. GT3s went there for a day, and I had the track. I just never really drive it. So, whatever. 15-minute open lobby, try it out. I had a good time, enjoyed it. And when James hit me up today, I was like, oh man, I'd love to be here. I think it's a wonderful track. It's very historic. Like you can't get very much more historic than 1922. I mean, unfortunately, there is some dark history here, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've come a long way from the 50s. So.
Yeah, that is true. It's a very, very... This track is interesting all the way around for the history and everything else with it, so I do enjoy it, and I enjoy watching just different cars try to tackle it. Be curious to see what other cars that GTP, GT3, and GT4s have ran here, or could run here. So, Ryan, what other class car would be good to run here?
I want to see the actual next gen NASCARs as a whole come, not just the 24 Hendrick car, but the just as a fun run to see everybody come out and have the next gen race here. That'd be wild in my opinion.
like the actual next gen cars, like
Yeah.
it'd be at Coda, but here at LeMans instead. I think seeing them at Coda is insane.
That is a fun track to go to.
Well, it depends on what you're driving. I love Coda, but it's not the easiest track in certain vehicles.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like going there, and the fans, like in real life, they're cool people down there. It's a younger crowd compared to like just like the mixed grab bag like you see like Bristol and places like that.
Yeah, I think it'd definitely be one of the tracks that I would love to go check out one day. Ryan, whereabouts are you located? You're in Tennessee?
Well, I'm from Bristol, Tennessee. Well, Bristol, Virginia. Most people know of Bristol, Tennessee, so I always say Bristol, Tennessee. But now I live like 15 minutes away
Yeah,
in
so
Abingdon,
right there on the border in Southern Virginia, Southeastern
Yes, sir.
Virginia.
Southwestern. Yes, sir.
Or Southwestern, yeah. I'll get my north, southeast, and west mixed up every now and then.
That's all
Actually,
good.
I know you'll probably make fun of me, but I grew up in Northern Virginia, so.
Nah, I'm not gonna make fun of you for that.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you. Virginia's a beautiful state, though. It don't matter where you are.
That's a fact.
It really is. It's a fun one. I'm just the next state over, and I will say I do like Virginia. I do like Virginia. I'm the next state over, so my state's a little bit better.
I was about to say you're from Kentucky, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Yeah, we were talking about that whenever I noticed we were talking about playing golf sometime.
Yeah, we still need
remember
to set
that.
that up, don't we?
Dude, I need to. My chiropractor today actually told me to go play golf, so that way he could see like if I felt better.
That is the best. Yeah, go play golf. I need to know. I need to know how your back's feeling if you go play golf. Like, okay, doctor's orders. Don't mind if I do.
Hey, I do want to interject here real quick. We just hit the 10-minute mark. Lap 37, 10 minutes to go.
Ooh. Getting spicy.
This is interesting.
We see Aiden coming up on the Mustang of Ben Harcum. So this is definitely going to be a clean pass there for Aiden. Ben got out of the way. Nicely done by Ben. Didn't lose too much time either, so he is going to stay out there. Rick did end up having to lose a ton of time. He's about 4 minutes down now, so that incident that we saw with Rick Waite was definitely a race killer there for him. So unfortunate for him, he was running that off strategy. And yeah, he ended up with 5 pit stops, so yeah, it ended up coming back around for him. But gotta be a little gut punch there for him. He was running a solid race.
Yeah, it's rough. A lot of people have had rough races, honestly, but the fact that we still have cars here that are surviving is, it's a testament to just sometimes it's all about perseverance and making it to the end here and, doing a pretty good job. So I'm enjoying it here as the headlights are coming on, the cars are coming down. We're 8.5 minutes to go. So I don't think we're going to see the rain. However, Ryan Hyatt, if I'm wrong, I'll let you go ahead and correct me.
Aiden got pretty wide
I
there.
don't think that you're wrong. I'm still not seeing it on Zoom. Whatever it is that is coming towards the track is a thin mark, like strip.
Yeah, so that'll prevent any issues here. It's just 8 minutes of drivers driving consistently. Ben Harcum is not really closing the gap to McLendon at all. It looks like Ben Harcum may have actually had a little bit of a moment here. We'll see if we can check this out and see exactly what happened. So this has been Harcum just a moment ago. Coming down, and this is into one of the chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, this is the first chicane.
And it looks like just the car stopped. The car stalled. I'm not sure.
Maybe he had a slowdown that he had to let up for, and he's coming to the end of it. He just had to stop.
It's possible, yeah. I can see that. So
Aiden has caught up to our race sponsor. I do want to shout out to Steve McLendon. Not only is he leading the GT3 class, he's also our race sponsor tonight with Twisty Bits Racing.
Clean pass. Very clean pass.
That's what you want to see with these GTPs. As we jump back up front with Keaton Cruthers, our race leader. He has a 2-minute and 9-second gap back to Aiden Amaro. So as long as Keaton just keeps doing what he's doing for the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds, he is probably going to be our overall race winner. Very solid night here so far for Keaton.
Yeah, very solid night. And I think it'll be this lap and one more, if I'm not mistaken. So 6.5 minutes left to go. So, well, no, we should get 2 more in, I would think, after he finishes this
his
lap.
fastest lap is a 3:25. So that would mean, what, 6:50 for 2 laps? So yeah, so it would be about 2 laps because he's going to come through. And, well, we'll have to see. It's going to be close because he is actually almost. Where is he on track right now?
He is.
Yeah, he's coming around right now. So yeah, you're right. We're going to get 2 more laps in.
Yeah, so hopefully Matt's just got a couple more laps in him to run it through. He seems comfortable here a bit, so we'll see how things go. He's just got to survive 2 more laps. Just tell him 5.5 minutes. He's got this.
Oh, yeah. I was giving him a hard time because it popped up on my end, said we cut the course, so I was giving him a little bit of a hard time while y'all were chatting.
You must have missed that one. Cut the course. So he didn't even get a slowdown. He just got a straight up, you cut the course.
I don't know if it told him to slow down or not. All I heard was cut the course, and I just came over the radio and started giving him a little bit of a hard time.
Now, what's the inner team, metric between you two? I know they were telling me you guys had a bit of an incident on Tuesday that you guys kind of worked out, but aside from that, you guys are friends and obviously race together multiple times a week. So what's it like being on a team with Matt, like with the 2 of you?
It's fun. We both give each other a hard time and know that it's not personal at all, and it's just fun.
It makes things easier.
That's what racing needs to be.
Just
finding people that you can get comfortable with and enjoy racing against, trust racing against. That's a big thing. That's.
Even though I'm the 3, other than the team events here, it's fun to run the 24 because I was a Gordon fan growing up, so it's fun to run the 24 with Matt. And ironically, it was the 3 getting into the 24 on Tuesday, so there's that. Now, as I say that, I bet you're gonna do something to me on the.
Tell us a little bit about your sponsorship there. You said that you reached out to the Jeff Gordon Foundation, got permission to run that.
A few years back, I ran street stocks, and I was like, hey, I don't want any money. I just want to help raise awareness and money for you all. Would it be okay if I ran Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation on my car? And guy was like, hey, where do you race? And I told him, and he was like, well, man, ironically, my wife's from up there, and we've been up there and watched a few of the races this year. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, which car are you? And I told him, what all was wrong with the car. And he was like, dude, he's like, yeah, that's awesome, because I was running a Rainbow 24. And so he was like, yeah, let me just run it by everybody and see if that's cool. And we'd like to get more involved at some local short tracks to help raise awareness.
Oh!
No!
Yeah, that's karma for bringing up Tuesday, I guarantee it. Because I think he has a broadcast going.
Matt Terracini. Well, now he's got to drive it to the end. It just doesn't matter at this point. He's just got to drive it to the end.
Yep. But then, again...
See the throttle pedal.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just kidding. Whatever's in the front of it, it looks like 2 pedals.
I see
it's
that.
It's not, but it looks like the throttle.
That's
and
funny.
the brake pedal.
But yeah, so ended up getting approved to run that on the car. At the time, I was going to donate like X% of like winnings to the foundation, and then there was a meet and greet through Zoom when COVID hit with Jeff Gordon, and I registered and I picked his brain a little bit about how to drive Bristol, and I brought it up to him so that way I could actually ask the man himself. And I was like, hey, a while back I partnered with your foundation. If I ever get to race again, would it be okay if I ran y'all's logo on my car still? And he was like, absolutely, man. So that's
pretty
kind of
cool,
how all that came about. So when I talked Matt into it, I was like, hey, we're both Gordon fans. Let's run Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation tonight. And he was like, all right.
Yeah, and he said that you threw the bluey paint scheme, the livery together today. So that looks great too.
Yeah, if I've ran them with like Cooper's Truck Series, I always have like put a theme with it. Like one time it was Stitch, like something that kids could relate to. So one time it was Stitch. I've got a SpongeBob one. I think I've got a Finding Nemo truck. Then Matt said that his daughter, she's 10, said that she was all about Bluey. So I was like, well, then we'll run Bluey.
Yeah, always for a good purpose, a good reason there. And hey, we got somebody out in the YouTube chat there. Two Brafter, hello from Canada. Sorry I missed the race. Well, Two Brafter, you came in just in time.
It is raining.
Where is it raining? Where is it raining on the track? Let's
Into the front stretch. It just froze out and showed me that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you all off.
No, you're good.
No, you are good. It's funny that happens with 20 seconds left to go here. So our leader's going down the Mulsanne Straight. So it's not going to affect anything as long as everyone gets their final lap around.
Let's go ahead and see. Go with the cockpit here with Keaton Cruthers, and we'll see if there's any sprinkles on his windshield.
Nothing.
And you said it'd be coming from the south, right?
Coming from the west, like northwest, but I for a second it stalled me at pit lane, and I saw it, and I was like, oh.
It's Al
It's
Corey.
not even on radar.
What's up, Al Corey? Yeah, so maybe it was just something decided it wanted to spit real quick.
Just a random pop-up shower because it said, oh, time's up here. Let's see what happens. And yeah, the time is done. We ran 40 laps in 2.4 hours, so good round number here as we go. Amaro's in the pit lane, which is interesting to see. We'll see if that is just a case of him going through the pits because he wants Cruthers to pass him and get his race done and not run another full lap. So Cruthers coming around here through the there's the rain.
There's the rain.
It is. So it is here. Just coming in probably about 10 minutes too late for what we really wanted to see.
And it don't look like it's going to be enough to really require wets anyways.
Yeah, it looks like it's just a light little sprinkle just to keep you on your toes here, but we'll ride on board with Cruthers and watch him through here for just a moment. See if he has to do anything special. He's taking it maybe a little more timid, maybe not. We'll see as he goes through here the final couple of corners as he comes around, and I'll tell you what can you say about Cruthers other than just domination today? It's been a very consistent run as he comes through the final few corners of the LeMans track here in the Dixième LeMans and runs through the 2.4 hours here, the 1/10.
That's going to be both our leaders.
Yeah, that is both of our leaders. And look at that. The Audi pulls over, lets Cruthers through. So Cruthers and McLendon finish the same time, and they finish out the 2.4 hours here of Le Mans in triple bypass. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a very good run. And we'll check and see where everyone else is. I do have a trigger here for Aiden Amaro just a moment ago. And it looks like this is exiting pit lane. Is this going to be just a case of, again, the Dunlop chicane? Spins it, catches it. But yeah, just a moment there. Now we've just got to wait on the rest of our drivers to come through. But these are our two winners today, and you can see them pacing around together there. So you got Cruthers and McLendon getting the wins tonight.
Thanks for letting me hang out up here with you for a little bit.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Matt came over the radio a second ago and said it's raining, it's not good, and it's just now showing on the Zoom radar, but it's not even showing any over the track. That's honestly a little bit wild.
Well, this is a huge track, so it's just a pop-up. But iRacing put a lot of time and effort into this weather situation. So, I mean,
And that's how Matt Parasini finished his race. So that's where he's at.
reverse it. Reverse it.
We'll watch it one more time. But I do also want to point out to you, Keaton Cruthers and Steve McLendon were our race sponsors for today. And they're the ones who won.
I just want to see him throw it in reverse and finish the race. Yeah.
He said it is dead. I don't know. He might have ran out of gas. I don't know. But it's weird. It showed 0% chance there for a little bit, and then all of a sudden now it's 100% chance. Oh.
Interesting. Huh.
Well, absolute domination out front there by Keaton Cruthers.
And Steve McLendon. I mean, they both ran a very, very good run as we wait for... Oh.
There he goes. There he goes. He can hear me. You got it, Matt. You got it.
Is this really how he finishes the race here? You know what? Actually, I don't even mind it. That's a good way to finish the race here. Oh, I think the car is moving. Hold on. Let's get in the cockpit with him.
Yeah, the car is moving.
It's in reverse and rolling.
There it is. He's crossing the line right here. Coming through in P3 overall and P3 in GTP.
And there it is.
Nicely done.
Yep.
See Rick Waite coming through.
So we're just waiting on Amaro, who is coming through the final corners
Aiden
now
Amaro.
here. Aiden Amaro had a very good race. A little bit of spray starting to come off the car, but I don't think the spray would be as serious if there wasn't so few cars running. I think that we would be okay a little bit longer on drier tires.
Yeah, I really don't think it's quite ready for wets yet. He looks like he's still got plenty of grip out there.
Yeah, it seems like it. And I don't think he is on a wet compound. I'm going to double check myself. No, Amaro did pit in for wets there on the final lap. Okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at our race results here for tonight's event, as we are at a rainy LeMans in the Dixième LeMans here. And yeah, that's my French accent. I do apologize. Keaton Cruthers is going to be your winner here tonight in the GTPs, with Steve McLendon, the winner in the GT3s, Aiden Amaro in second, Matt Parasini in third, and fourth place was Anthony Sparazza, who finished out a down 30 laps on the day. He got 10 laps in. From there, in your GT3 category, again, Steve McLendon, your winner. From there, it was Ben Harcum, Rick Waite, Michael Caffrey, who we saw dominate for a little bit, but then, unfortunately, something occurred that put that Mercedes out of contention tonight. Brian Wildison and Tyler Merritt, who didn't even complete lap one. He got 0.75 of a lap in before that Corvette bit back and took him out. But that being said, let's pull in our race sponsors tonight. Let's get some interviews going with them here if they are available. And let's see here. So that is going to be our boys Steve McLendon, Keaton Cruthers, the drivers who sponsored tonight's race with Twisty Bits Racing, bring home P1 and GTP and GT3 respectively. I got to ask, how was the race for you?
I personally did not have my best race. We had a lot of trouble at the beginning, and Michael Caffrey was fast, and so I was doing all I could to keep up with him and just pushing it. Then I don't know what happened to him. He had a problem, but after that it was just chilling and making the laps and keeping it out of the wall.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you were pushing pretty hard there early in the race, trying to keep pace with Michael, and it seems like maybe that led to your incident there. And I mean, Michael got lucky to get through there. So yeah, that was definitely a tough race for you, but you sat it out. You were able to kind of wait through it and coming out in first place, man. It's got to feel good.
Yeah, it always does. I mean, nobody likes to lose for sure. Everybody loves to win. So
Right.
I hated though that it was only 3 cars. You know, we only had 9. You know, all night. It kind of sucked having a low turnout, but still fun either way. And you know, I just wish it was better. You know, for everybody, better for you guys. Kind of feel a little bad about that, but hey.
I think we had a good time up here in the booth. What about you, Bradley?
I was gonna say I still enjoyed it, so there's plenty of action. We got to rag on Matt Parasini a little bit, so that's always a good night.
Yeah, I had it up and running side by side while we were racing, listening to the broadcast, and heard most of that. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So, but you sponsored the race and you won the race. Does it make the win a little bit more special?
Yes. Well, I won't say necessarily special as much as it is like you put forth more effort to win it, so it does have that payoff for sure.
Awesome. And then, guys, is there anyone you all want to shout out? Anyone you want to thank before we let you go to enjoy the evening? Because it has been a bit of a long evening for you all. Of course, running 2.4-hour race.
Oh, well, hold on. We need to hear a little bit from Keaton too. Keaton, tell us what it was like out there. It seemed like you had almost a pretty boring race after the start there.
Yeah, it's too bad. Still fun though. It's an awesome track to drive. So that's all right. I can drive around here all day.
Yeah, it clearly showed. I think your best lap was 3:25.8.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame with the setup. They got us locked in on attack mode on these things, so I couldn't stiff it again, which is too bad. But oh well.
Hey, man, just absolutely dominating race out there, and you guys both just had a great night. I know, Steve, you said you were having some issues there, but I mean, you definitely weathered that storm, and definitely a great win for both of you guys tonight. So, thank you very much for sponsoring the race and great wins.
Yeah, hey, thanks for sticking with us and broadcasting it, and glad you had fun. You know, we had fun on it. Looking forward to the next one, whenever it may be, and I think I've got to get some sleep tonight. We're getting up and running the 6 hour in the morning, so yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So we'll hopefully have two GTPs in the on the podium tomorrow. We'll see how that goes, and yeah, we'll just
you guys
keep picking at it. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Hey, good luck with that.
Yep.
Thank
Appreciate it. So, but yeah, thanks again for doing everything. Just want to thank Keaton for his part of this tonight, and everybody at Triple Bypass that puts it on. And then Nathan with Catamount Solutions. He keeps the beers going and the internet running. So it's what makes these cars go around the track. So, but yep. So that's it, man. We appreciate it, and hope you all have a good night.
Yeah, you all too. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks, y'all. See you.
All right, Michael. Well, that's the Twisty Bits Racing team, and they're running 6 hours tomorrow, so this was just a warm-up for them. So it shows they've got some more pace going, and we'll see how things go running through. There's some chatter in the Discord chat between Parasini and Hyatt, with Matt Parasini admitting that he put his foot in his mouth. So, what are your big takeaways here from the 2.4 of LeMans?
LeMans is an absolutely stunning track. It's great to see the GTP and GT3 cars. I know everybody was saying they wish it was a bigger field, but I thought it was still a pretty solid race tonight. Really enjoyed being out here, and the only thing I would say is, just like you, I wish the rain had come a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I think if the rain had came with about 30 minutes to go, I think the race would have been just shaken up on its head. But regardless, I think it was a good race, and I think it's been a good run all the way through. And of course, Triple Bypass, they always have plenty of racing for us here on the JP Broadcasting Network. And remember, if you want to support what we do here, Triple Bypass and all the other great leagues that make JP Broadcasting work, Make sure that you like, subscribe, ring the bells, do all the fun things you could do for free here on YouTube that help us continue to bring you great content. But on behalf of Michael, my name is Bradley. We've taken you start to finish here with the 2.4 of Le Mans tonight. Be sure to join us for the next broadcast where we'll take you start to finish again. Good night.